Share. Give me a second. Okay. So I'm Aislinn Phelan. I help run our short sales and loss mitigation division. Pre-foreclosures, distressed properties, you name it, all the fun things whenever it gets sticky. I want to share that. Okay. Share that. All right. So who has come across short sales? Or should I turn that off? Who's come across short sales? Okay. All right, we're gonna learn some things today. Okay, so we just listed one. I'll kind of show y'all what it like looks like whenever you're looking at them. Because you can spot them like pretty quickly whenever you're going on a listing appointment, and like kind of like we talked about in the listing class yesterday. I'm pulling up the tax, I'm pulling up realist, I'm pulling up all of that. And so let's say the seller called me for this one and they're wanting to go ahead and put it on the market. And so I'm going to ask them questions. Again, I'm asking them the listing questions, but again, what I'm asking too is muted and then okay. And so basically I'm asking them, are you up to date on your payments? Sometimes I have had them say, yes, I'm up to date on my payments, but they are in the middle of a forbearance period. So technically they're not up to date, but they're technically not late. So they were correct by not being late technically whenever I asked them the question. But then when, of course, I did some additional digging, I was like, wait a minute, have you done a loan modification or a forbearance? And they were like, well, yes, I'm in a trial period right now or a forbearance period right now. Who can help me define what a forbearance is? So when COVID was happening and all that kind of stuff, the government did a bunch of different like mandate options and all that kind of stuff where people could take the option of not having to pay their mortgage for a set period of time that was agreed to. So the whole point of that was, okay, you don't have to make your payment for, let's say, 3 to 6 months. Well, at the end of the 3 to 6 months, they were supposed to pay in full the 3 months to 6 months amount. If you're not able to pay 1 month, how the hell are you going to pay 3 to 6 at one time? So then what had to happen is, and that is where either loan modifications came into play, or we have it to where they took it and turned it into a second HUD lien on the back end. So Housing and Urban Development actually stepped in, took over that amount that was owed, and has officially attached it to the back end of the loan. But it's not in the original loan. It's a second. So whenever your client is talking to you about their payoff and they tell you that they did a forbearance, you need to be asking them, your mortgage statement right here, is that including the forbearance? And if they say no, then that's a whole nother payoff that you have to get. And so I'm hearing too often where realtors are going on listing appointments and then the sellers are like, yes, I did a forbearance. Yes, I did a loan modification, which a loan modification is basically to where they took that amount that was owed and then remodified their payment structure to tack it into the actual mortgage. There's all different types of options. It depends on the bank and what they qualified for. Think of it as like an internal refinance of what they couldn't pay or decided to not pay or agreed to not pay for a certain period of time. So they internally refinanced and restructured the loan. This is where a lot of people got into a bind as well because it raised their payment typically. And also taxes and insurance have gone up. So that's affected people's payments. And that's why a lot of people are also deciding and wanting to sell now, is because they're like, I can't afford to live here anymore. So that's why it's so important to have those conversations with them and asking those questions. I also am asking, are you up to date on your HOA? Because fun fact, HOAs can foreclose in front of a mortgage. They can become the new owner. Now the lien for the mortgage stays there still. And basically then the homeowner has to, like, or the HOA that then forecloses on the homeowner and becomes the owner, they'll eventually, like, they just want to get paid. The HOA just wants to get paid. So pretty much then the bank's going to have to go through a foreclosure process on the person who technically doesn't even own the home anymore. It gets real fun. And then it turns into, finally the HOA gets paid because the bank has to officially foreclose on them. So they have a double foreclosure on them. And then the bank, the HOA will get paid off by the bank. And then they'll release the deed back to the bank to then become an REO, pretty much. So yeah, that's a little fun fact on those. There's also what's called a tax foreclosure. And so you're going to have trustee foreclosures, and then you're going to have tax foreclosures. If they are not up to date on their taxes, that's another question I'm asking. Are you up to date on your taxes? The county can foreclose in front of the mortgage. Again, the county can become the owner. Again, the bank, who then is going to have to foreclose on the person, and then the bank is going to have to pay off the county in order to get the deed. So, and I mean, the thing is whenever people are buying a property and are signing all these loan documents and everything, I mean, they are legally binding. You are taking out collateral. Are you taking out a loan on collateral? The bank is allowing you to purchase this property and everything like that with the loan and everything, and it is your job or the homeowner's job to pay it back. There's also what's called different hardships. And so people did experience hardships. I mean, during and after COVID, and even into now with how our lovely economy is doing and everything like that, we have it to where people have had deaths in families. They've passed away. The other partner or other person on the loan couldn't pay for it. The heirs can't pay for it. There's other portions where job loss of income, reduction of hours, medical, divorce, that's a hardship. And so those are all things that whenever you're working with these properties and everything, like, it's all about building up a package to work with the bank in order to present what the hardship is and that they can qualify for a short sale. And so who can help me define what a short sale is? Well, so yes, so a short sale is pre-foreclosure, or it's before the process. It is a workout with the bank. All you're doing is shorting the mortgage that is owed. So just know it is not a short process at all. The short sales typically can take 3 to 6 months to close once you're under contract. It is a process, and because you are dealing with the bank, like, you're dealing with the government, you're dealing with the bank. Basically, here's a prime example right here. So he reached out. He was like, hey, I'm in a bind. I know I owe more probably than what it's worth. I mean, he's on the tax records for $280. It's gone down in value because he has not been able to maintain the property. So you're going to see a lot of, like, as is situations. Whenever you start asking those questions, like, hey, what's the condition of the property? Have you done any maintenance, or have you done anything to fix it up? And then they're like, no, I haven't been able to service the AC. No, I haven't been able to fix this. That's a distressed seller situation. So I can kind of help coach y'all through those conversations, because it's a whole different animal whenever you're talking with distressed sellers. So here he bought it, let's see, in 2005. So I always like to scroll down and look at the mortgage history. So we can see where in 2005, there was a loan with him of the 131, and then there was a 14.5, and then See, that's all I'm seeing right now. But we have a foreclosure, so I'm always looking for the foreclosure history and everything too. And I'm going to be digging. And also foreclosure information, notice of sales, notice of trustee sales. All of those are public record. They're in the county. Like, here's the document number. I can go in the county records and go dig it up and see exactly what it's saying. And I always do that whenever I see these. Okay, so they had it listed in 2023 for $285,000. They started at $330,000. So he was hoping to make the money. He did end up renting it out. And now he is out of the country. He's like, I can't manage it anymore. The rent's not covering it because I did loan modifications, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't make sense to keep the payments going. I got to get out. Well, so we went ahead, contacted his bank, figured out what his payoff is. His payoff's around like $275. And whenever we checked out the property, ran comps and everything, it's worth $250. So that's a short sale. We need to work out a short sale with the bank because he owes about $25,000 more than what we can even start to think about selling it at. So whenever you're looking at these properties and you start running comps and you're like, they're telling me they owe this. I'm looking at the condition. I'm looking at all this and this and this. And I'm only saying we can sell it for this. Like, let's say they owe $330. You're running comps and everything. And you're like, hey, this is like a $300,000 house kind of thing. That's going to be a short sale situation where they're going to need to start that process. Any questions about this so far?
So directly and the short sales, it's the owner contacts you, the agent, to doing this diligence or everything cultivated with the mortgage company to pay for that.
So banks will not work, like in order to do a short sale, it has to be listed with a licensed real estate agent. Yeah, they cannot do it themselves if they're wanting to short the mortgage, because the reasoning why is they want it to be listed on the market in the open market for the opportunity to get as is market value. So also whenever these banks, so what they're going to do is we start the package with the homeowner, with the bank for the short sale application. The bank is then going to order a BPO, which is a broker price opinion of the, which is also just another word for an appraisal. Basically, they're going to come out and they're going to look at the property and say, hey, it's worth this based on as is, not ARV, which is after repair value, not a hope and a prayer that we're going to pay it off. It's what it's worth. And so with that being said, if the bank comes back at $250, then okay, they're going to say, all right, you have to list this at $250, put it on the open market. So that way we have the opportunity for anyone and everyone to be able to come and purchase the property as a short sale. We will work through the process and the application. Basically, then the bank has to then contact the government backing the loan and request the reduction of what is owed. That's why it takes so long. And also it's a lot of paperwork back and forth. It is. It's a lot of paper pushing.
And that does affect the owner's credit score too.
Well, if they haven't been making payments, their credit's already affected.
Oh yeah, because it's close to the, or you stop to the foreclosure doing
yes.
This one. Oh.
Now it can be to where they are making the payments and it is still worth less than what is owed, but they are about to not be able to make their payments due to various different hardships. And so I have one right now. They're not wanting their credit to be affected. They have been maintaining payments. They are only having, they have a tenant in it. They got job relocated because they lost their job here. So they had to leave in order to get another job. So they could not maintain 2 payments. So they rented it out. Well, the tenant can only pay so much. And then he did a loan modification and his new note's like $3,100. So the tenant's paying like, I think $2,200. So he's having to eat like another like $900 right there. And so, and that's on top of living expenses and everything like that. He's also getting ill, and some illness, that's a hardship. Relocation for a job, that's a hardship. He's not late on his payment, so it's not affecting his credit, but it's still a short sale situation because he owes a lot more than what it's worth. And so we are working with the bank to go through that process and everything. Now, what happens is whenever you have a short sale situation and they, let's say, okay, let's just use examples. So they owe 330, bank allows, say we put it up on the market for $250. It's $89 a square foot, $27.96. It's a good house. And like, I know Marcus asked yesterday, how do we market them? We market them just like a normal listing. We're getting professional photography done and all that. I mean, it's as is. It's 100% of the seller can't afford to fix the carpets and stretch them or clean them or replace them. So that's what you have to explain to your buyers, and also what type of financing then the property can qualify for. And so that's also where, if that's the case and you have an FHA buyer, you'll probably need to do what's called an FHA 203K, which allows for construction and remodeling up to a certain amount, or to a certain amount of construction that can be done in order for it to be wrapped into the loan. So FHA and VA buyers can purchase properties like these, depending on what is actually like wrong with it and everything.
So the lender needs to do that stuff so they can be able to buy this kind of property, the FHA and the VA.
Well, the buyer needs to do the stuff. The buyer needs to get qualified for an FHA 203K.
But
with a lender that knows how to do FHA 203K.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So short sales have certain requirements for the buyers? Is that what you're saying? Like,
they're going to be as is. And so you can't have a buyer that's going to sit there and be like, I want the seller to replace all the floors.
right.
They have no money there's no equity. They are walking away with nothing. They are shorting the mortgage, and the bank for sure is not going to say, okay, let us give you some credits for some new carpet. So on this case, let's say you have an FHA buyer that comes through and they're like, you know what, I want all new flooring. They're going to apply with a lender that knows how to do FHA 203Ks. And so, because you have FHA 203B, which is your typical normal just FHA loan. So a 203K is where you tap in and you have to find FHA 203K approved contractors. They will get a bid. Then that bid then gets submitted to the lender, and then that's how it's held in escrow. Basically, once the buyer closes on the property, it's held in escrow. That's how then the contractor gets paid, is out of the escrow, and then it's kind of, think of it like a double closing, but it's not a double closing.
But if you have a buyer that has enough money put down, that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through all.
You do all that. Yeah. If the buyer's cool with like, hey, I'm getting this at a good price and I'm cool with paying whatever and whatever, then fantastic.
How much of the business would you say is short sale? Is it like small now?
This one?
No, in general. I mean, are short sales common in the business?
I have about 70 files going on right now.
Really?
Yeah. And that's since January.
Okay. Is there anybody in this office that specializes in short sale?
Yes, sir.
That's why I'm teaching it. That's why I'm sitting right here. So you have right here. So, I mean, just based on the pictures, you can see how there's a roof leak, something going on right here. And that's fine. I mean, again, it's as is. And so whenever your buyers are getting inspections, they're basically for information purposes only. That's how you're setting those expectations. And also, if they need it that month because their apartment's up or whatever, they need to move. Short sales are not for them. If they have it to where it's like, hey, my lease isn't up for a while, or hey, I'm really wanting to be in this specific neighborhood, or I really want this price or whatever, and all that kind of stuff, then being able to wait, it benefits them because they can get a property for under market value for them. Now, whenever I say under market value, it's because it's being purchased as is market value, rather than, like for this one, let's say everything else in the neighborhood is 300,000. Okay, let's just say. And then that way they're getting a pretty good deal on it or something like that. So again, that's where we're at there. I mean, they originally had it listed at like 330, and so now we're at like 250. So it didn't sell at 330. I mean, what other questions do y'all have about that?
What happened with those 50 in this case? they are going, the owner is going to own to the bank.
So this is where the shortage or the shortage, so he owes like 275 and then another on top of that as a second. And so, I'm waiting on the payoff for that one. And then I always pull title the minute I get a listing agreement signed because I've already digging. I already kind of have an idea it's going to be a short sale. I have trusted title partners that I go with. They go ahead and pull title for me right away. And then we go through and I'm just starting working down Schedule C of everything that is owed. And so for this case, let's say he owes 300 and let's say we just sell it for 250. Again, you're going to have fees that come out of that. You're going to have taxes, you're going to have title fees, you're going to have commissions, you're going to have all of that and everything. Also, in a short sale situation, you're going to have sellers where they're going to be like, I can't pay you whenever you show them a number that's less than what they owe. In short sales, the bank picks up the compensation because an agent has to be involved in order to get it done. And they understand that you are the licensed professional. You're going to assist them with getting it done and all this other stuff. So they understand like we are worth something. And so back to what Jackie's asking is, so let's say there's a $50,000 deficiency, which is what it's called. Okay. The bank approves it. The government approves it. Everyone approves. Okay. We will take it for $50,000 less than what is owed. With certain loans, like if they have an FHA or a VA loan, there's whenever you're paying mortgage insurance, the MI part of the PI and all that kind of stuff, then basically that right there is you're going to be, your mortgage insurance helps cover some of that loss. But if there's not so much, or if they don't have mortgage insurance, then the bank can come up to can basically give them a 1099 of that $50,000 of income because it wasn't paid to the bank and the government's going to make sure that they get their money. So they will then tax them on the $50,000 as income, and then they will be responsible for the taxes on the $50,000. Now, if they allow it to go to foreclosure and the bank, let's say the bank sells it for $200,000 at auction, or has to take it back and then try to sell it, and it costs them a whole bunch of money and all that kind of stuff. And there's a $100,000 deficiency. That's whenever the bank can go back on the previous homeowner for up to 2 years for a full-blown judgment. It's just part of it. So whenever people are like, oh, I'm just gonna walk away, not really in their best interest to do so unless they've just exhausted any and all options and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, sometimes it happens where they don't work out because there's just too much on the property to where the bank is just like, look, we're not going to come at a number. And we don't have any buyers that are willing to pay what the bank is needing to net. And so it happens. And then there's times where like cooperation with your client and all the parties is huge in these situations because you're having to you may submit paperwork to the bank and they're like, okay, give us 30 days to review it. Okay. And then they may send a notice back or a response back, or you call in and you're checking. And then they're like, hey, we need this, this, and this in 3 days. And you have to get it within that 3 days. And if you do not, then the whole thing cancels and you have to restart. So that is why like systems, communication, documentation is huge in all of this. And this is just before we even get to like we're under contract. And so the short sale addendum has to be attached and for these properties to the 1 to 4 family contract. And what the short sale addendum basically states, I think it's paragraph like G or H. It basically states that all the consecutive running dates in the contract are like option period, survey ordering, or due date, whatever, financing. Those dates pretty much do not start until you have formal approval from the bank. So your buyer's not just like paying earnest money and option money and then losing it all because the bank didn't approve it. And then also you're putting a date in there where it's like, if your buyer's like, hey, I'm willing to hang out and wait for like 30 to 45 days to get an answer from the bank, then you can put that in that short sale addendum. And then if they don't get an answer within 30 to 45 days and they give notice, then you can back out and then they get their earnest money and option money back. Now, once the bank gives approval for the short sale, that's whenever day one of your option period and all those dates do go into effect that are in the contract. And then if the buyer backs out after the option period, right before closing all that, then normal contract terms are going to apply for default.
I have a question there. So not every single agent can handle this situation, right? Because I have people that have called and say, no, don't worry, I have my agent. Say, but if he specializes in this stuff, no, don't worry, I have it. Okay. So I wonder about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I have come across many situations where the agents are like, yeah, I can do this, I got this. And then I'm at the auction and I'm watching the house get auctioned off. And then I get a call from an agent like the day after. And they're like, can you help me? And I'm like, I just watched it sell at the auction yesterday. And that has actually happened. So, yeah. A lot of agents say they can, but again, a lot of the notifications that are coming from the bank, if you miss that phone call, and do not call them back, sometimes they're contacting the homeowner. And if you don't, I am so specific with the homeowner, be checking your portal for any messages coming from the bank. Any phone calls you're getting from the bank, please let us know. You don't have to answer it. We understand you don't really know what to say, or you're embarrassed, whatever, and all that kind of stuff, or you're at work. Please just send us a screenshot, say, hey, the bank called me, and then we will get on the phone with the bank, say, hey, you called the borrower. What can we do? We're helping them handle the file. And so those are the times I've seen where just the ball gets dropped. It could be also to where this situation, no one's living here. So the bank could be sending paperwork to this house. No one's checking the mail. And so I'm making sure that the bank has the correct forwarding address for them so that way, whatever documentation, because there are times where the bank will just be like, we mailed the paperwork. And you're just waiting. They still also like to use fax machines. And so I have an e-fax account. It's old school sometimes. And also they want wet signatures sometimes on everything.
So if this is something that we want to try and do, like say we get a client if they're in the situation, what should your fee assist us? What is your fee?
Because of everything that it entails, and I have 2 VAs that are assisting me and I've trained to do all this, typically we just do 50-50. So. And then you're just you're learning, but it's a lot. And a lot of the agents that I've done that with, they're kind of like, I'm good.
You could have the 50.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we'll do 25 or whatever, referral back out kind of thing. So, yeah. It's a lot. Because just that one missed bit of communication can cause the whole thing to fall apart. It resets the clock for the foreclosure dates. Because basically the short sale is kind of, if they're late on their payments, it helps them keep out of that foreclosure. Because we're in that workout of a short sale. It puts a pause on the foreclosure activities. And there's times where it's divorce situations and it's trying to get one to sign and this to sign and this and that and agreeing and everything and all that. Sometimes it takes a minute to get all parties to agree and sign. And I'm like, we have a deadline, please, can we get this back? And so, it's just a lot. But in the market that we're in, they're becoming more and more prevalent. We got mismatched doors here. As is, it's not terrible. So we got half a couch. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yep, really half a couch. I guess it was too heavy to carry down the stairs. So again, it's not terrible, but this is as is. And so it's just explaining to the buyer, it's going to be as is, it's going to take some time and all of that. Let's see. What questions y'all got?
And then you said that if an offer has come in,
It depends. It depends on the bank's regulations and what they're willing to accept. And that's all part of the package that they get back to you with all the information. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're waiting until that approval, and then you can just close right after the approval's done. Yeah, so you're not waiting then for the buyer to get financing approval. Yeah, but yeah, it can take just as long. I'll get calls from investors, and they're like, "Hey, I can close next week." I'm like, "That's fantastic." we're still going to have to get approval, third-party approval from the bank in order to go through this process. The foreclosure filings has gone up like 20% this year or so. I remember going to the auction back in like January, and it was like 200 and something. Now it's like over 1,000 and something on the list and stuff. Again, a lot of people think just walking away is what they can do because they've been just like, it's not gonna happen. Like, and also there were so many like moratoriums and protection and all that kind of stuff that was in effect. Now we're at that place where pretty much we're having it to where all of that has been lifted by the government, and so all foreclosure activity can resume. So the minute they're 90 days late, it goes into the foreclosure process. Yeah, and the bank only has to give a 21-day notice prior to the next auction date, which is always on the first Tuesday of the month. So 21 days prior to that, they can give notice. A lot of people think, I got foreclosed on, they're coming to knock on the door and kick me out today. That's not the case. They do have time. They do have rights. There is an eviction process. It takes 2 to 3 weeks once the foreclosure is completed and the deed is transferred over back to the bank or to the new person that purchased it at the auction. Then they can go with the eviction proceedings and all that. There's also what is called cash for keys, which is where they can, the bank will hire someone to basically negotiate with the occupant and basically say, hey, you want to take this cash? You're going to give me the keys. I need you to leave it in a broom swept condition. I'm going to be back in 48 hours. And then you can get the cash. Otherwise, you're going to get fully evicted. You're trying to get them out before having to evict because they may trash the property even more. So, and the bank is wanting to preserve the asset as much as they possibly can at that time. So, what questions? Y'all got anything? I'm like, I know y'all got something. Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, you're gonna submit the package prior to receiving an offer to the bank.
You have to. Yeah, before I'm even listing it, I'm already working. The minute I am getting the lead, I'm on the phone with the bank. Yeah. And be prepared every time you call into the bank, a minimum of 45 minutes to an hour on the phone. Yeah. Going through all the customer service hoopla. And then also that is why it's so important to discuss with them all of the details and have everything written down. Like here's one. This is a super fun one. So have everything written down because there's a lot of times where you'll call the bank for an update and the right hand's not speaking to the left hand and they're going to tell you something different. And I have to sit there and say, well, agent ID number blank on this day told me this. You're telling me something different. Can you please clarify? And then they'll be like, oh, let me scroll up. Oh yeah, that's correct. Let me get you a proper update. And that's where a lot of people miss things. It's because they just like, oh, I called the bank. The bank said they have everything whenever they didn't because they didn't read proper notes. So think of it as whenever we have hurricanes and all of a sudden the insurance companies are like, hey, I can, they hire like all these people to be answering the phone and everything. We're having such an influx in loss mitigation cases within the banks because people are calling in to try to now work something out because they're getting foreclosure filings and everything like that and notices and notices of default and everything, that the banks are having to hire all these people to answer the phone. They may not be the actual person you're needing to speak to because you're not in that process yet to where you can then get the actual like person you're going to be working with that's actually be working the file whenever it gets to that point. Also, fun fact, if they have for certain servicers, if they have not worked with the bank, contacted the bank or anything like that, and they're like 1 to 2 weeks from the auction, there are certain servicers that need a minimum of 37 days to review the application, and they will not review that application. So then you're having to do extreme measures in order to help them save it if they're wanting to save it. But I mean, it can be done. We've helped stop them all the way up to the right before, literally. So this one is one. Also solar panels. What does that do? Puts a lot of people in an upside down situation. And the bank is not going to sit there and be responsible for covering the solar panels and whatnot. And so you're going to have to help negotiate that all the way down or out and off. So it's super fun helping negotiate that. But it's as is. But the bank went out and basically we're appraised like right around 120. And so for 120,000 for this big old house, because it's the as is value. It's Christian. So yeah. But it has been winterized, so the bank has come in and winterized it and everything because they knew the property was vacant. So you're going to have asset preservation companies that are going to come in and do that the bank hires. So yeah, this is the fun ones we get to deal with sometimes. But they're not all like that. I'll show you some more. This one right here is a foreclosure, $400,000 or $400,000 short sale. Sorry, they still live in the property. It's nicely maintained. Problem is, everything else in the neighborhood's brand new construction that they're competing against. Whenever they bought it a couple years ago, basically, they overpaid because that was popular a couple years ago to overpay for things. They did some modifications. They can't maintain the mortgage. They are maintaining it the best they can. We are working it out with the bank to get them more time. But yeah, so I mean, they don't have to all look like a complete as is, but, and also they go in all different price points. I've had them where they're at $1 million. I've had them at 600. I've had them at 800. I mean, you name it. So, and also it's super fun whenever you're like fighting with the bank and you're like, no, it's really not worth what you're telling me it's worth. And so you're submitting reconsideration of valuations. And so really, based on the comps for this one, all the new construction homes around it are selling at around like 260, 270. Well, this isn't a new construction home. It doesn't look terrible, but there's no incentives. A buyer's not going to be able to purchase this with incentives. It's the homeowner that's in a bind and that owes more than what it's worth. They can't offer anything. So how is someone that's buying this? I mean, basically, why would they not go down the street for $10,000, $20,000 more and get all the incentives in the world, helping cover closing costs, brand new appliance packages, gutters, whatever, pick the paint colors, you name it, all the warranties and everything. So the bank's like, nope, it appraised for 270. And I was like, okay. So then we had to raise the price up to 270. It's whatever the bank says. And so, and we've submitted enough reconsideration evaluations now where I'm like, we're working on it. So to get them back down to where it really needs to be. So yeah. Let's see another one. This one. So this one, it's been sitting vacant for a minute. I mean, and they look nice. It's just now because it's been sitting vacant for so long, there's some mildew that's growing. This is the one, you know, that mildew. Mm-hmm. And people are like, it's mold. I'm like, until we get it tested, we don't know. So, but yep. And then let's see what we got here. That's another one. What questions y'all got about them? Trying to see. What you can do is so I'll show y'all some more and like remind what I'm talking about with the extra liens and everything. Let's find a good one. This one should be a good one. So this one's actually an approved. So the bank has to sit there and approve you for working in the short sale and everything. And so it's called an approval to participate. And that's after you've like submitted everything. Also, the sellers have to submit all of their financial documentation, just like a buyer has to submit in order to get a loan approval. The sellers have to basically submit in order for them to get approved. So they are submitting tax returns, they are submitting bank statements, they are submitting paycheck stubs, they are submitting a financial breakdown, they are submitting a letter of explanation as far as what their hardship is. That's why it also takes a very long time for the bank to review it. Just like it takes 21 to 30 days to close a file with a buyer, it's the same thing with a seller. You're basically getting them pre-approved or approved to work in the process. So for this one, if we scroll down, let's see. they purchased in 2025. So last year, they got a $333,000 mortgage. Let's see if they did. So that was, and we got approved by the bank to be at 335. It's a short sale. It's barely a short sale, but it's a short sale. Then we have, let me find you another one. Be good where you can see all the extras. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. I think if this is the correct one, I have to pull it up a certain way because otherwise it doesn't pull up the correct stuff. But I'm going to show y'all something. This is what I really, really, really want y'all to look for. Whenever you are pulling everything in Realist, you will automatically see like what I'm talking about. Let's see if it pulls up the right one. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So we are listed at 350. Whenever they originally showed me their payoff, it was like 297. I was like, okay, but they were in a pre-foreclosure situation because they hadn't made payments for a minute, and so we had to like kind of move quickly and everything like that. So I'm scrolling down and I'm looking. I'm like, okay, they bought it in 2022. All right, and then I'm like, let's go back to 2022 when they purchased it, and I'm like, okay, okay. Oh, here's another fun fact. Any sort of down payment assistance or anything like that, if at any point they take a modification, a forbearance, or are late on their payment, that stuff is automatically due and tacked on as another lien. So make sure your people understand that. So that is just right here. So they got some down payment assistance. So now that we have 8542, this was their original mortgage, 284.7 in 2022. Oh, look, they did a forbearance for 64,000. So now that's on top of these two. Okay, we got them, and then that's where they did a modification situation, another modification, another HUD lien on with another forbearance situation. Yeah. So and then they told me their payoff was 297. So I'm going 297 plus 8542 plus 64,415 plus the 20,704, 390,000.
You guys are Realist. Is Realist inside our?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go to here, click on a property, and it's right there. Yeah. And it's also up here, Realist tax. Yep. So that's where I find all this. I mean, and we are listed at 350 and they owe 390 and we need to be lower. But we're waiting on the bank.
But the property is worthy that amount?
Hmm?
Is the property worthy that amount, 350?
I mean, it's a huge house. Like, it's monstrous. It's two houses combined into one.
Okay.
So here's a house, there's a house. And then this was like, so there's a driveway over here with the garage right here. And then there's a driveway right here with another garage. This is all garage. And I'm like, this would make a fantastic assisted living facility if someone wants to transition it. Because this, you could air condition all that, get all that permitted and done. You have bedroom, 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 the sunroom, which they're treating as a bedroom, another bedroom. This upstairs they're treating as a bedroom, bedroom here. And there, I mean, you can add, that's 10 bedrooms. So, I mean, to get that much house for a multi-generational family or two families, whatever, like the opportunities are there. So, yeah.
That's the property.
201 West 5th Street in Deer Park. Also, there's no HOA. We get consistent showings. I mean, yeah, I mean, you have all this over here. I mean, tons of parking. Tons of parking. Fit all the cars. So that's the one part of the garage. I mean, again, that's the smaller home portion. It has kitchen, bathroom, like everything. This is in the main. That's more part of the garage. Then there's the kitchen on the other one. Yeah, that's the one where they have a lot of kids. So if you have a lot of kids, this would be a good one for them. That's like the little like Narnia door that goes to the garage that goes to the other house. It's interesting. We need to be a little bit lower on price, but again, we're just kind of waiting on the bank to let us know. We just looked at that one. That one. That one. Let's see.
You have any property for my client?
Which one? What?
$175,000.
But where? I mean,
around Friendswood, around Channel View, around Sugarland, any place.
I mean, there's this one. I mean, what are they wanting? I guess is
But
the.
they want the first floor is a 65-year-old condo.
Okay, I got you. I'll have to look and see what we got.
Fire and generator. I have a triplex, one building, the first floor and second floor, and one suite.
But they want just one floor.
And they want to just.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, here's another one right here that we have listed. I'm going to show y'all.
But if you-
So they bought it in 2021. And I'm going to scroll down to where it's mortgage history. And so we have the original mortgage. So right here was of 155. We're at 135 right now because that's what the competition is all around us. The comps are showing us 135. 155 for the original loan from 2022. There's that HUD loan, so you're attaching that on top. She did do she did get approved for a modification, and so it's this basically plus this now. And then her HOA is trying to foreclose on her too, because she's in a forbearance situation with her bank still. And so, but now the HOA, she hasn't been able to pay the HOA, so we have to get the HOA paid. So yeah, it's fun to deal with it. What else y'all got? I can show y'all where to find distressed sellers. So I also help with like distressed seller situations where it's like they're about to be foreclosed on and all that kind of stuff. So we'll help with like step in and do all that.
So before he gets to this,
Typically it's like this week. So the auction's next Tuesday. I'm slammed always this week and the weekend before, because they're like, I'm going to auction on Tuesday. I'm like, okay, let's get to work. So I like to go on Remind, which is also in your members only portal portion of HAR.
That is my favorite so far. I was looking for you.
Yes. And so in here, you're going to be under properties. You're going to scroll down to distressed deals, and you're going to make sure all of these are done. And you're going to hit apply, and then literally it's going to show you any and all notice of defaults, notice of foreclosure sales, notice of trustee sales, list pendants. What's an area that you like? Like, what's an area I'm going to zoom in on?
Katie. I need more Katie's.
What area?
Not of the 10. The 10. Yeah.
There's a bunch right here. Is that Katie still right here? Cypress area, kind of.
Yeah.
Let's look in here. So here's they're saying there's quite a bit. So what I'm then doing is I'm looking. Go to the side. I'm looking over here and I'm seeing hot off market. Whenever it says high, I like to click on those and see, because if it's high, that typically means, see, it's literally labeling it as distressed. They had a recording date of a notice of default for 6/11 of 2006. They have an auction date of next week. So these are the people I target to help. Now, it's showing the values of 277. They only owe 71. That's what we can see. And then you have net equity of 205 with 74%. So, I mean, that's a good one to call and talk to potentially help them. Yeah, they got the notice of default then.
Because they have a really good equity there. So they can.
So if you can get
to do something.
Well, possibly, but a lot of the times they're like, no, I want to stay here. It's almost paid off. And I'm like, well, you have them paying your mortgage, so we're gonna have to figure something out quick. Basically, how can we get the bank to agree to work something out? So I like to look for the ones that are high. Backing out some, let's see. Off market high. Let's look at this one. distressed. They recorded a list pendants, which is a lawsuit from, oh, look, current lender name, the HOA. Yep. That's who's filing a lawsuit on them. Like, again, this is all pulling from public records. This isn't like anything hidden or special or anything. Like, anyone can go pull up this information. Yeah, the lender, yeah. And so, yeah, distressed. So that's how I go and find a lot of these properties.
What happened when you saw this date on auction date and another auction date and nothing is closed yet? What is the meaning of this?
They worked something out typically with the bank. And so what Jackie's talking about is like right here. See how this is not marked as blue? It's gray. So right now we don't have a foreclosure date on that one. But let's say no on that one, no on that one. This one, we've had 2 foreclosure dates and worked it out twice with the bank. So, and it's just because we just keep putting it in the system and working through and saying, hey, just give us more time, et
There
cetera.
is no services there. You know?
Huh?
There is no services. There is no electricity, anything.
There's not going to be pretty much electricity at any of mine.
Okay.
Just, they can't afford the note. They don't live there. They probably can't afford the utilities. Yeah. Yeah. Like 9 times out of 10, mine are not with
And one
electricity.
thing I was asking there is there a lot of stuff over there. You say, who's going to clean it up this?
Whoever buys it.
Okay. And pay for that.
It's as is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's where it's like, it's really important to be able to explain to the buyer. So like, here's one that's off market, looks to be newer construction. Distressed, notice of default done. They had an auction date of 5/5. They maybe work something out if it hasn't already been deeded over back to the bank. Yeah, they bought it brand new construction. So I've done a lot of statistics research and everything like that. And the median age home right now that is going through foreclosure activities and short sale activities is 2018. So that shows you how many newer construction situations are in a bind. And it's because people overpaid within the past couple years. And now they're like, I can't afford the insurance and taxes because I call it the new age adjustable rate mortgage that a lot of people signed up for with some of these builders and or lender programs where it was like, hey, you'll be at 4% this year and then 5% the next year. And then you'll be at market rate because hopefully we're going to go down to like 2 and 3 again. No. So now here we are at 6 and 7 and people's interest rates are getting adjusted to that. And then tax and insurance going up. They cannot afford the home. So and then also what they paid for it in 22 and 23, the builders are now adjusting to what actual market value is now. And you are competing against new construction, brand new, that is less than what you owe. So breaking crap. Bull at a China shop. So here's another one right here, high, distressed. They had a recording date of July 14th. They're going on the auction for October 6th. This one right here. Katie, Lake Crest. They have 37% equity. According to this, I bet you they did a modification. So a lot of people have done modifications. A lot of people. Yeah, so they've already worked it out twice. See, they've had multiple trustee sales and stuff like that, or notice of foreclosures and stuff, multiples, lawsuit, trustee sale, foreclosure sale. So what will happen first is the bank will send out typically a notice of trustee sale or a notice of sale, which means that basically they're like, hey, we're putting it up for sale. And then it will get assigned to a trustee and all that kind of stuff. And then they'll be the ones that are actually going to cry it out in the auction. So yeah. Also, I like to talk to people and agents about not chasing the payoff. What that means is like, let's say you have one where they're like, oh, I owe $325. And then they're like, can we just like list it above that so that way I can pay off what is owed? I don't recommend it in today's market because of the days on market because of competition. Like they better be like perfect and pristine and everything in order to be able to ask more than what it's worth. So I call that chasing the payoff. So whenever they're starting to get in that situation, that's whenever I start having the conversation of we may need to go ahead and contact your bank and see what options we have with a short sale. Now, if they have the ability to be able to pay off the difference and pay you out of it and everything else, then great. They don't have to go through the whole short sale situation. So, yeah, we're almost done. So what other questions y'all got? Did y'all learn something? Here's another one. Distress sale. This one's on, it was on the 7/7. Yeah, current letters of Zion's Bank. Again, it's all here. It's all in HAR. It's all easy to find them. It's all easy to get the information it's all a public record. I mean, and that's just in that little area. Like, let's just look around the office, what we got.
So this, I'm sorry, I have a question.
Mhm.
Might be a dumb question.
There's never a dumb question.
If you have someone who recognizes that their house is below today's market value,
Mm-hmm.
they're upside down on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to pursue the short sale. Does that get them out of the debt? I mean, is it possible that a bank will be willing to work with them?
Mm-hmm. They have to submit the whole application, and if they don't want to be responsible for the additional debt or the taxes on it, they have to do what's called a waiver of deficiency and work that out and be negotiated with the bank.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's options. There's there's so many options.
That saves your credit.
For the it's better than a foreclosure.
Yeah.
Like foreclosure is one of the worst things you can have happen to your credit, because at least here's how I present it to the sellers too. With the short sale situation, you at least attempted to work it out with the bank. So in the future, whenever you go to get a loan to purchase another property, they're going to see, okay, you had a hardship, you worked something out with the bank, versus you told us to F off basically, and we foreclosed on the property. How do I know we can trust you with another home loan? That's how I kind of explain it to them. And then they're kind of like, okay, that makes sense. You're kind of like doing a settlement in a way with the bank for what the debt that is owed. Yep, here's one right here. It's a distressed property. It's right like not far from us right here. They're everywhere. Like it doesn't matter what neighborhood. It doesn't matter what area or anything like that. It can happen to anyone. And that's where it's like, I tell people just to continue having conversations with your sellers, especially ones that you've sold to within the past couple of years, and just check on them and just be like, hey, how are you doing? How's everything going? Because most of the time they're too embarrassed to even talk about it, or they don't know who to talk to. And they are just thinking, okay, something's going to happen. I'm going to eventually be able to pay it off. I'm going to be able to catch up. The market's in a rebound. I'll be able to refinance and get it back. Well, it's like, if you've been missing payments, you're not going to qualify for an actual refinance to be able to pay it back. You're going to have to start working something out with the bank. Anything in Zoom land? Google Meets land? No. Oh, here we go. Here's one. Sage wife. I just like to sit here and just look through them. Yeah, they have a recording date of this, and then they're on the auction for next week. So, and I recommend going to the auction like at least once just to experience it. It's really fascinating. And then also the amount of properties that are going back to the banks to become what is called an REO, or real estate owned, because there's not people at the auction that are wanting to purchase them. So we are going to have, also, I tell agents this specifically too, by working with sellers to work through a short sale, you are helping preserve the market. Because if we have a ton of foreclosures that keep going through, it's going to affect overall market values. It's going to continue to decrease the values of homes in areas where there's becoming more and more REOs and bank-owned properties and foreclosures. So the banks net more money with a short sale in the end than they do with bank owned, because they have to foreclose on the property, they have to maintain the property, they have to make it safe and accessible and all that kind of stuff. If it's in an HOA, they're having to make sure the grass is cut. They're having to secure windows and doors. And so that costs the bank money. They're also having to pay attorneys. They're paying trustees. It costs more money for them to foreclose. So they would much rather work it out with the homeowner.
Once they are REO, how do the banks move those? They work with realtors?
Mhm.
Is there a database for that?
So you need to have a lot of experience with working with it. And so I do REO as well. And I'm getting a ton of orders to start listing them. Right now, there's been kind of a hold because there's so many that they're kind of wanting us to like trickle them out and not the market. But yeah, there's databases, but again, you're submitting resumes basically on your experience and everything else. And like I started in 2008, 2009, and I literally like walked in and sat with the ladies in the office that were doing just this. And in 08, 09, that's whenever it was there. I mean, whenever I go again, like I showed y'all yesterday, how realist, like the little temperature gauge at the top right here. We were here in like 08, 09. Like it was a complete buyer's market. A couple years ago, we were all the way in a seller's market. You can literally snap a picture, put it on socials, and it was gone in 5 seconds. Coming soon, 50,000 over asking. We're not in that anymore at all. I mean, average days on market 49. I mean, total listing count 20. It's kind of like what I explained yesterday, that sales price to list price ratio being 95%. We're pretty much in the middle, but we're slightly leaning. I mean, again, and it also depends on micro markets as well, like where these numbers can come into play too.
Is there a way to recognize those REO properties and all this?
Yeah, I mean, you can find them right here in Remind. I mean, it'll show you. Let's see. Typically, the occupancy status is going to be vacant, but I mean, yeah, I mean, in here you can search. Like, let's see. Classic single family. Also, let's see. I do like public remarks, like REO. Let's see if anything pops up. 3 there. Bank owned. 1. I don't know what my, oh, that's for active parameters are. Realtor remarks or remarks. Let's see. REO. No. Bank owned. I don't know why. I guess it's giving me too many, but yeah, we could do active there. And we'll just say bank. You can also search short sales this way too. So there's 40 matches right there that are active.
Where did you enter bank owned? I'm sorry.
So scroll down where it says additional fields. You're going to do add and remove. You're going to add public remarks, realtor remarks, remarks. You want to add those 3, and you're going to take them from over here and move them over there. And then if we go to the map, so they're all over the place because we syndicate. So, I mean, they're all over. I didn't put any actual specific, but I mean, this is also what's in the remarks. Let's see what the Black Label Capital owns this one. I mean, typically you're going to see, like, it also will literally say this whenever you go to the foreclosure tab. It'll say REO. Or the tax. If you whenever you go to the tax, it'll be whatever typically the bank was or the servicer was. And they look like this. They're as is completely. Those also you can get 203Ks on as well and then also different type of conventional style construction loans too. Like normal homeowners can start purchasing those. And I assist a lot of people in purchasing REOs and working with REOs, and I can help y'all do that too. Yeah, bank owned, being sold as is. Bank owned. They are here. Bank owned. That one's in San Antonio. I don't know who's next. Who's next? Ari? There you go. All right. Well, thank y'all very much. I appreciate y'all. We're gonna have Marie come and talk to y'all. I appreciate it. If y'all need anything, just let me know. If you want, this is logged in here, so you're good.
Good. Yeah. Everybody's super busy. Who's after me, do you know?
Joe. Okay, you're logged in. So you're live.
Anybody need to go to, I am not gonna take up the full hour of your all's time unless you guys are just super excited about commercial. Either way, I'm Marie. I'm the commercial director for the brokerage for the AEA. I have been with the company 3+ years, I think already this year. I started off in commercial real estate. God, I've been doing commercial real estate for a long time, for 15, 20 years. I started off doing office buildings, then converted to medical office buildings, then converted to land, to mixed use properties, which is, your retail centers and things like that. So I'm able to assist with basically any commercial transaction that you have. That's whether it's a commercial asset or if it's even a business. So, and what that entails is basically if you have sometimes you have a company, let's say a restaurant that has a retail center that's in a retail center. Now they're just selling that business, or are they selling it with the retail center? So we can, I can definitely walk you through any of those situations. A lot of times you're dealing with just leases. So if you have a doctor that's looking to go into a multi-tenant building or a single standalone building, we do those too. Sometimes we do land, commercial land, where your client wants to build, a mechanic shop. I'm just kind of throwing things out there just to kind of show you that what we do is we're just outreach to anything and everything. How many of you are actually done anything in commercial ever? Have you? What did you do?
I'm doing little bit. No, I didn't into a big complex.
Okay.
I have a working morning. I have a complex. I invest in real estate.
Okay.
Commercial. And also I didn't do the active. I do it for the passive stuff, like I invest in the commercial.
Okay.
So do you know Grand Cordon?
Who?
Grand Cordon.
Cordone?
That's the investment from Florida, California.
I don't think I do. No, I don't. Yeah. Or if I do, I'm just but
didn't do it interesting. We was trying with my husband last year, but he do some, but we didn't do it because he wants to be more active.
Sure.
That
Sure.
he was trying to do.
Sure.
But we're doing small commercial stuff.
Well, commercial is absolutely fun. I mean, it's a different breed than residential. I mean, it's the same thing, but it's different, right? Okay, yeah, you're dealing with bigger numbers and you're dealing with people's livelihoods because you're dealing with their jobs and the way that they're, supporting their families and things like that. So when you're dealing with commercial, AEA just wants to make sure that you are working with, and as you know, when you got your license and you trained, you have to work as a mentorship in that area. You can't just go, okay, boom, I'm going to help you sell your business, because why? You don't know what the heck you're doing. And it's okay, but it's a very big weight on your shoulder to know that their livelihood is in your hands. So basically the information that you're providing to them, the questions that you're asking the seller or the buyer, whoever you're opposite of the transaction, are the right answers and the right questions and the right testing and the right contracts and the right legal language. And it's a big animal. So, and it takes a lot. So I know when you're starting off in your real estate adventures, you're trying to still find yourself. Am I going to do apartments? Am I going to do residential? Am I going to do commercial? Am I going to do all of it? I suggest you do all of it till you find your perfect spot. Everybody's like, typically, no, focus on one. Me, I'm like, do it all and then thin out the rest. Because that's what I did. And it worked out well for me. I started off in apartments, then I went to houses, and then I got into commercial. Now I do all three. I prefer commercial and residential. I really cannot stand apartments, but I like doing rental houses. So, I mean, it's basically the same and comparable, right? So you just got to find yourself and then just kind of get yourself into that motivation. What we want you to do is, because when you're out and you're selling yourself to anybody who buys or sells real estate or is in the need of that market, and they approach you and they're like, oh, I have a medical office that I need, or I need that. So do you do commercial? The last thing we want you to do is go, I don't do that. No, you're going to go, yeah, my brokerage does everything. We do investment properties, we do commercial properties, we do land, we do residential. I mean, we do it all. If there's a need for real estate, we do it in this management or in this brokerage. So you're very lucky to be in this brokerage, because a lot of brokerages like I said, they focus on something where we're not. We're all over the place, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing for you, because that's the way you're going to learn. So, so again, if somebody comes up to you and they're basically, and you have no idea about commercial, and that's okay. And you may not want to know commercial, but we have two different programs. We have a mentorship program where I will actually walk you through the entire process from the beginning of the communication all the way to the closing table of how that transaction will work. And it's ideal for you if you want to learn to be a commercial agent. Then I've got people that don't want anything to do with commercial at all. But it's a huge, hey, I got somebody that wants a doctor's office. Perfect. They give it to me. That's on a referral program. Now, a referral program is the same as any referral program. It's a referral fee. You basically say, hey, Maria, this is my client. He wants commercial. I'm going to refer him to you. Okay, well, then I'll take him over, and then we pay you out as a referral fee. A mentorship is a 50-50 transaction. A referral fee is a 25-75. It's just that nothing changes on that. So, sure.
Can we do residential and also mentorship with commercial?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Can we do residential and also commercial mentorship?
Yeah, you can do all of the above. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to focus on anything. And are you asking if I do a residential transaction with you, or
no.
No,
Yeah,
but
the
you can
commercial
do
side.
both. Yes,
Yeah,
you can do both. You can do all of that.
As for us, for a couple ones here, we are new. Say if you want to focus on something, or it's okay to learning both stuff.
It's yes, I
It's not-
suggest you learn both, because you may, there's a lot of commercial agents out there that don't know how to sell a house, and that's crazy. I mean, especially if you're living there and your neighbors next to you and they're moving and they only do commercial properties. Well, that's crazy. And the same vice versa with you. I mean, if you're selling somebody's house and you know that they're a business owner and maybe they want to buy, expand and, buy another, hair parlor or nail shop or something. Somebody in every place they need a home and they need a business. And whether they're buying the home or buying that business, we don't know, but you best put yourself out there, market yourself as best as you can.
Yeah, that is happening to me because I was helping in the residential and saying, I think I want more commercial. I want this multifamily building.
Yeah, that's multifamily. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Maria, can you expand a little bit on could you speak a little bit on the mentorship program started?
Yes, the mentorship program, basically it's within the brokerage, and I do it for not every, I mean, you don't even have to be in this brokerage. So if you have a real estate agent or a friend or somebody like that wants to learn, basically, if you find a client that you're interested in doing a commercial project with, you have two choices. Now, you can either bring that mentorship where I will walk you through how to communicate with your client, how to lock them down into a representation agreement, how to search their properties that they're looking for, how to evaluate value of that property, what testing procedures are required. Like if you have a testing for residential, it's a home testing, right? If you just said a home inspection. Well, commercial is different. You have different, that's called phase testing. So a lot of times the phase testing is different. You're going to do environmental testing. You're going to do ground testing. You're going to do air quality testing. It just matters on what that subject property is. So we will actually walk you through every bit of that, all the way to the closing table in that mentorship. Now that mentorship is a 50-50 split between the mentor, whether it's myself, I think there's another mentor here in the company. We did have Michelle, but she's no longer with the company. But if somebody else that has at least 3 transactions under their belt and they're confident in their commercial ability, then you could have them mentor you as well. And then they would actually walk you from beginning to end. And then you have the option of not doing anything at all, just going, hey, Marie, this guy wants to sell his spot. You know, I'm too busy, or I've got other things to do and I don't really care to learn. Here, let me refer them to you. And basically it's the same thing. It's a referral. I'll take the referral from you. We'll do a transaction sheet between us, and you go on your merry way, and I communicate with you as things go, and you get your referral fee. That's completely up to you. Yes, sir.
So I had this lady, she had like a beauty shop on a corner lot.
Okay.
You know, it's one of those properties that are like residential / commercial, because they're in the main
And she
street.
converted it to a commercial.
Yeah, she did a really nice building actually, that was a beauty salon.
Yeah.
So I understand on those, that's big commercial, right? It has a commercial building on it,
Well,
set up for a beauty shop. Or like,
I mean, it can be, did she have it rezoned?
good question. I'm thinking she did, because of the fact she even had
She's got a business name and everything out there. Typically, it's not very, just because something is residential doesn't mean it can't convert to commercial and vice versa. It's an easy transition as long as the city is willing to partake. Now, it does take some money to rezone it and all that fun stuff. You have to come out and do another survey, and to transition it it's not as big of a deal as some would think.
I'm thinking it already was, because it was previously listed as a commercial building.
Okay.
It must have been. Now, my question to you is, basically, on that end, there's other MLSs that you list commercial property, right?
Yeah, you would list on, we offer Crexy, CoStar is free. And then LoopNet you will pay for on your own. They have a silver right now where you can do one transaction, or one listing is $120 a month, but it's a year contract. 2 listings is $159 a month, but that's for 2 listings for the year. Now, again, you could put that on the market and they could sell next month. Pay that off on your commission, right? Because you're going to be obligated for the next year on that listing. Now, in that listing on LoopNet, you can switch them out. So if you have 2 listings on LoopNet, and everybody here know what LoopNet is? You know what HAR is, right? Okay, LoopNet is HAR, but for commercial. So, and it's only commercial. And if anybody, and it's nation, I mean, you can look all over the world and everybody's going to go to LoopNet. So LoopNet is a sister with CoStar and BizBuy. BizBuy is another company that basically, and that's where you would put your business, not just your asset, but it's a business. And that is $500 for 6 months. And then every month after that is like $180. Hopefully you can get it sold within that first 6 months. You don't have to continue that. But BizBuy is where you would want to sell your business. Again, if she's selling just her business and not the asset, you would put it on. Now, she could sell both, but a lot of people are just wanting to sell like their
not just the asset. I mean,
oh,
and
okay.
My question was, being less than $1 million is like in the 800K range that she was asking for. Would that be necessary to go through all the different marketing MLSs, like you say, LoopNet, or just
What's the asking on it?
She's asking. She went a little bit shy of $1 million initially, but the property's probably only worth around 800K.
800K, and what are her books like? I mean, what is she bringing in? Is she selling the business and the asset, or just the asset?
No, just the asset. The business, she was trying to basically, she set it up for trying to. She was working on the business previously, but then she just gave it up. Now she's just selling.
Okay, but you determine value
But
at
it's set up as a beauty salon.
okay, so you determine value at 800,000,
Something like that, yeah.
and she wants to list it for $1 million.
That's what she was asking initially. She expired, right?
Okay, did she get an appraisal to, what gave her that number?
I know, yeah, I know.
You don't know
That's
what,
she was
that
asking.
was just a number in her head?
But she said she invested so much in it. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they always think there's gold in their houses. You got to bring them down a level. And when they get to that, what I tell them when my clients think that they have like this $1 million property, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm looking at it about 500,000, 600,000, or their business. I suggest getting, you know what the best thing is to do? Let's get an appraisal. Now, an appraisal is something where it's not every appraiser's got a different scenario, but you're going to get a lot closer than a broker value, right? So now my broker evaluation, I'm basically going to take all your information. I'm going to take your books. I'm going to find out what your expenses have been for the last 3 years, what your income's been for the last 3 years, what the structure looks like, how the business is being ran. You're taking all of this stuff and you're collaborating it into one to evaluate exactly what the value of this property is. Does your business, is it fully equipped? Are there any capital improvements needed? Did you do any capital improvements on the property? There's just a lot of intake to understand a completed value. Right now, Ozzy and I have an RV park. I'm sure many of you have seen that. We just hit the market. We have an RV park that's got 137 slots. It's bank owned because the prior owner went bankrupt on it. So the bank took it back. They did an appraisal on it, and as is, it's a 4.9. So with that being said, I can use that appraisal to determine value on this property willfully without me second guessing it and going, okay, we got
A
appraisal.
whole bunch of research.
Right. Well, you got to have the research because your buyer's going to want to see all that, right? But now I'm going to be basically, here's my research, here's my backup, here's the appraisal. So you do your own homework at this point.
I
So
want to say on commercial properties, it's kind of recommended, right, that you push the seller towards that.
I push my sellers, especially when you're working in numbers that high, to work. First off, always have an attorney. I suggest you get an attorney. Anything and everything that you give them, you put in writing. I suggest you let your attorney review this. I suggest that your attorney doesn't overlook. Always push them towards an attorney, because when it comes down to something's messed up and you're like, well, did you not have your attorney look at it? I asked you to have your attorney. I'm not perfect. I'm not an accountant. I'm a real estate agent. That's basically, you always CYA always.
Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
So you mentioned LoopNet and BizBuy CoStar. You kind of let.
CoStar's free, but that's a sister property of LoopNet, but you're welcome to get on there. The way CoStar makes their money is from the onlookers. For people to go get on CoStar, they have to pay to get on CoStar. So they want your listing on CoStar, so they can charge people to come look at it. So that's why it's free. But it's a wash with LoopNet. So because it's a sister property of LoopNet. So you have Crexy, you have LoopNet, you have CoStar. Those are your primaries. And then you have Horror came out with one, which is community something. It's like if you Google horror commercial site, it's like community something. I forgot what it's called. That one's just now still growing, so it's not that big. And then
What do you use LoopNet in the city?
we have an in-team Crexy. Crexy is the same as LoopNet, but on a smaller scale. If you have a big bad boy, you're going to want it on LoopNet. So RV Park's going on LoopNet. It's going on Crexy too, but it's going on LoopNet for sure. And it's going on CoStar. And if I'm going to hold to put it on BizBuy, just because I think LoopNet's going to take care of it, to be honest with you. And I think BizBuy would just be an additional expense that I don't have to take on at this time. So, but otherwise, I used to do classes. I don't anymore. However, I am starting a team, which is going to focus more on commercial sites. So I know you guys are probably all on the Ask Ozzy team, but anytime that you guys have commercial questions or want to move in that direction, you guys have my number. It should be in your starter packet. Make sure that you call me, you text me, email me. I am always open and available for any communication that you have or any questions that you have. Never, ever, ever let a client walk away from you that has a real estate need. there is something or someone in this brokerage who can help them if you can't. You always tell them, yep, we got you. Let me get your information. Let me get your criteria and let me find the best agent for you. And then that's when you blast it, Marie or Lori, or, hey, this is what I have, who would be the perfect person to, do my mentorship with, or I can refer this over to you. Never let it go. There's somebody in this building that's going to do it. So there's a lot going on. So any questions? Yes, sir.
Is all land considered commercial or is it based
Nope.
on what it's sold?
No, land, you can have residential land and you can have commercial land. You have improved land and then you have unimproved land. So unimproved land is raw land that is commercial, or even residential, that there has been no improvements on, no homes on there, no waters on there. It's typically raw. It's not cleared. There's no utilities. Everything's at the street, which means nothing's been brought onto the property. Land that is improved basically has all the utilities on the property. There's been a home there or a trailer, there's sewer, there's well, or there's city water or something. Everything is connected. So that means it's an improved property. And that could be residential or commercial. So it just matters on its location. Now, a lot of times you may have a residential lot that you can subdivide and make into multiple multi-tenant multi-tenant opportunities where you can put two separate trailers or put two different homes or do multifamily, put an apartment community on there or something. It just kind of matters on the city and the city permitting and the requirements and zoning and all that fun stuff. So just, and the city typically will work with you on much of the stuff. Especially if the city's trying to grow and expand and become better. I do know that in League City, there's an area or two where it's like they have all this land and it's such a beautiful land, but they won't let anybody build on it. And it's just like, why not? And there's really they just don't have any need to approve anything that's out there. And it's one of those, it's their land. They can do that. It's weird for some reason. Maybe there's something back in I think that what it is I think they're hoping for a bigger developer to come in there is what they're thinking. And a bigger development company is going to come in there and purchase all that land and they're going to make something big and beautiful back out there, which is probably what's just going to happen. So, but
So multifamily is a commercial or is a residential?
multifamily is commercial. Multifamily, anything above 4. Remember, anything above 4 doors is considered multifamily. Remember, you only have a 1 and 4. Represents 4 doors. Anything after that, you're going to hit commercial.
Fire.
Yes. You're welcome. Anything else? Well, I will not take up your time. You guys if you got another 30 minutes to drink some coffee or whatever, you have here, let me give you my phone number and my email just so you guys don't have to look it up in case. It's Marie White, like the color. And it's 713-829-3317. And then my email is marie@aea-realty.com.
Can you repeat the address, please?
Sure, it's Marie, MARIE, at aea-realty.com. Yeah. Holler at me if you need me. You're welcome. I'll talk to y'all soon. Good luck. Get you some coffee, go to the bathroom, and you have about 30 minutes.
Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, what's that? Okay, so yeah, because forbearance. You shouldn't put in the same rate. Residential, you should be.
Yeah, but I think that's not necessarily you can start with the party, because all the party comes around. You can, find some deal or three, four, or one. I have one like manager. That says, two apartments, 150, that's you want to buy. I'm sure that two one, one, and the second one is the same, and there was another studio, and big parking. That's a cell. And so I have ordered in Brian, for the special. That says 5. It's until 5, it's a house, one house. And I have the house.
Eat 'em all. How are y'all doing?
And funding is
How are you? Good.
and I try to find it. Need to find out I never remember.
Yeah,
my
you see what I emailed you?
What address? I don't know. So I check, like I present with Brian, how there.
Yeah.
So, and all that I have ordered is up to the inside. Oh, yeah, but we're moving so far right now. So, yeah, but the channel view,
I don't know how you say it. She wants something.
yeah. It's good. Sí, sí.
I need to practice. So that is-
It's okay, if I understand you, everyone.
No, let's do that.
Okay, and, this is a channel view. This house is where my own projects. So we
You know what, I'm going to make a cup of tea, so I can say, there's no picture. So I can start that kind of business with them.
yeah, I have an agent here. It's really involved. I got my agents before I got my license, so everything I have an agent. So I only have one support. One is inspired.
I can come here and say, okay, if you want to check this picture, we will check this picture. They always run their numbers.
How am I? Yes. I don't know, my phone, I don't know if somebody found this from yes, okay, I tried to search it. My phone stopped working, T-Mobile. And I went to the T-Mobile and they told me, oh, it's a one. Yeah. Cuando no sale así rápido, tengo que hablar. Te doy la dirección.
Sí, por favor, pero buscar aquí.
No sé por qué.
Chequemos de juntas, todas las propiedades. Pero igual que puede salir un negocio.
Si la encuentras, entonces,
Unos juntos. Listo.
aquí va a venir
Sí, me dio la pena. Estoy haciendo. Sí, estoy.
So, yeah, so like, you know, so.
I have a one.
Everybody else live over here? Joe's next.
17 for
Laurelwood, and that is good.
He's 47 world.
Right? And because I'm not what would be the recovery? Is it I think I'm not sure.
So I would deal with Devin.
Okay, but I need to help Mama out. I don't know if you remember what time. Yes. Okay, Mama, you're gonna help Mama out. One team has to do that. I have to pass. Yes, so I've been hearing about you have to do it's just ridiculous. Like, like script you like if you're a buyer or if he's the buyer and you got it. Okay, so I would just, so then I need to practice the script. I don't want you to get too loud.
The next one, this is the first entrance, that's the first part. This is the, it's a tiny studio.
And then those five, it's just
Right.
really
It
five.
says,
The six is that you need to answer.
What about
Get
the
those
rent?
answers to long.
And-
And so that's gonna bring your values and getting that.
okay, Channel View, we rent two apartments, 950 to one, and the studio is 750.
Most of the time when you get a call, or even just any other.
Right. They pay their own utilities, they only pay is water and electricity. And normal, so they pay 40% for the apartments and 20% for the studio. And why? Or for the what? Whatever, right? I normally do it that way, but they have their own. It's better when the apartments they put their own, because you know, then it's
So much over that.
yeah.
So what about the taxes?
So
Yep.
your average realization, that's gonna kind of connect with your location, right?
Right, we
Why do you want to
pay
do
taxes is 1,000.
And then the price, and I don't have card,
Because we have the school taxes,
well, that
not the
helps.
1,000.
What are you?
I don't remember what. I think
That tells you how it works.
I was saying,
one is the 1,000. The first one you got, the second one is 1,000.
yo veo.
No, both is taxes. One is home school taxes, the other is.
Ah, yo pensé que eso claro.
Yes. And the other more expenses that we're doing is because it's apartment we not know. Sometimes when your apartment is
Even what if they say they
Well,
will?
what do you know?
they have the area, like I have weather in Houston.
Yeah, you should, right?
But
you won't know.
I have the other one. that is, like, it is each apartment complex, especially, so each one is responsible to cover the rest. But when this one is more bright, so they,
Okay, how much is it? 40?
something like that. And then it's a big, no, it's a big, we pay. Something,
And this?
yeah, I think it's 75, I don't remember.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
trying to find.
But that's, I don't remember. I have the number here, they give me the money, but normal I pay.
What about the expense? What about?
Maintenance is,
Ma'am. Very nice to meet you.
sometimes I have,
Like, basically.
the other day when
I
they
sent
used
you
to
guys.
call me,
How long has it been?
Well, I'm sorry to get stuff in your hand.
and then it's
Real quick. So. The guy. He just made an arrangement.
yeah, it's something, they call it multi-family, but it's kind of bringing them back. But,
All the.
they said, no, this is something you can sell it like.
I just.
Because normal, you can sell it 1 to 4.
Just depends on how you want.
But when it's after 5, the contract is.
Now, when you have your buyer.
This is in China.
They just want.
I understand the tax.
Yes,
Sometimes if
Do
you
you have something?
you already got on payment plan, and everything. You made his first payment.
Because I have,
And then they'll send you a.
Ours still-
And then you
now
have.
it has to be,
Yeah.
all belong to
Okay.
más cerca de nosotros. Entonces, cerca.
He's happy with that.
Ready to open.
But I just wanna, see, I mean, you guys, even if you feel things out there, you guys. Can't give up everybody. Yeah, he's a good guy, and besides his, this, yeah, he's a.
Yeah.
As long as he signs it.
I think he does.
Yeah, this is also, this is 76, 10.
And I get to renter, that having to look at the. I'm just saying. Why does it have to?
So that is for sale?
It's also eager to get out there.
Yeah, my husband has tried it.
They tell me to go.
Trying to buy a,
I start looking for that.
Just ask her, like, what it could be,
Because we have like a right to buy something because my refrigerator is nice. So I don't want to live with it. Yeah, no, that's in
Are you
the
under,
store. I don't understand.
I mean, even if it's not expired, you can just always.
But this is a house.
It is a house make
I want to term.
apartment.
Oh,
Okay, so it's like a, original was a house which was terminated. The new was 2 bedrooms,
Or I would get him to sign with you.
so, or 1 bathroom.
Then again, he can
So,
also. make that too.
Because we have just get it from.
Yeah, you can get him to make it so they can get a transaction.
So they, like, they, we buy.
So that way he's not just sitting on it.
So I have 2, one side, 1 apartment, and another house, in other side, 2 apartment. I think the one have 2 ones. One, but one. And then the garage, they go, and the store. So it's one. This is some part of that. I'm not sure I was talking, I think my husband was talking to my partner because that's his real partners. I think they included, they can be negotiated with the financial. I always get my, yeah, that one,
Mhm.
yeah, but that's. just- And the other is. Your mind's here. I'm gonna nurture you for goodness sake. Brian. And sometimes it takes.
College tuition. Oh, no, I don't have that. But do you rent to the students? How does it? Who do you
They're
rent?
gonna read it. Oh, was the rents, I mean, we don't have to tell them that all
Really?
my rent, all my tenants, it's just small people, working.
No,
Yeah, the apartments is not big, it's one.
no, I'm watching it.
It's nice.
I was, that's better.
Bathroom,
Right,
the
signatures right
No.
there.
kitchen, the living room. One half a shower and, let's say. La lavandería. And the house is beside the apartments, have their own parking for the apartments of school. And that we, but I didn't have any students in that.
Yeah.
All of us are pupils. But it's for the school, it's not for the school.
Too much into it.
Yeah, the majority of my tenants already was.
Everybody's different. You have your own way.
Yeah, we're going working better than how much you say.
Yeah, we went, what this is different, I think we have one, 900 the other, 850 the others, 860 the other, and the house. The house, we did it. We're going to, we have a tenant since we buy it.
And so,
Even if
that
we
is for
so we just have to.
How we do
That's
that.
the so like moving.
So I studied that.
But the house is 1,000.
And it's such a when you take that something you're studying this,
But
you
it's
use that
if it's going to be more at the.
because now this to go through. It's not a
Yeah.
So you need to remember, it's they don't know shit, they don't know what that you don't know. So if you let those, you're not gonna know, you're only. So you just.
How do you manage that? You see, you live here. You go there and you just do
When it's going, when I.
You need to go. What happens to you?
No, I really, all my processes, they are in private partners, we normally have. And the economy was. Let's not do this a couple years, so, we decided proper, I'm really going on, you know, so I. And that's what I like to wonders why, what question we work together, so. She is just normal time with it, relate in that and you're helping them hold it. Okay, counting, stop that, check it, the mortgage is paid. Yeah, so normal your pays and then, and so we're going that together, we work with both. Yeah, but when you have a proper manager, it will on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for now, so we. And provide the answers that we don't say.
So that way it's gonna compare you as well.
You already know.
I think it's so.
But when I.
And like I told you before, we already knew that.
That's really it. And then
Yeah, no, like I told you from the beginning, we already knew that our. Really good.
And we have a Brian. You never go to
What's the
see
market
it,
doing?
you need to go
So you
see
guys
it.
will pay what the market
Check
doing?
it out all and see it. So I prefer, so they really have to drink more.
The only thing about safety.
I don't know, she was for everyone. But I can see sure that's right away. They don't want to spend.
He probably have some properties. I don't know which property has. They produce and you took it there, if not, I don't know. The other one is more expensive to review the place.
Yeah,
Like a headache.
yeah, that's the same today. Yeah, it is. So when you have something you're reading it, that's just because if you're working.
If you're
with
here,
someone from
if you're
another
here
state,
after
you
here,
can
I'll be
stop
here late and we can
dig into it, check always the house.
It's just gonna get started.
But,
I'm gonna be here later.
it's not gonna hurt the problem, right? If she- Next time you talk to her, that's just go. You might hurt the problem. But when they can feel their goals.
But at least it's 1 year, at least in 6 months, when you check it. Because no,
It's a good question.
they bring us, so now you spend more money, or you
Check, check. I mean, that's the latest, but we're hoping.
Check, check.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I don't know, it's listed as close.
Hello, hello.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's close to.
no, the security.
Yo, 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 yo. Perfect. What's up, Othon? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Get started here in about a minute.
Yes, sir. I did not want to miss this one.
My man. All right, I'll slip you a 20 when we're done.
Yeah.
All right, guys, give about 15, 30 seconds. We'll get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Whoa. Today we're talking about leases. I'm going to go over how to do a lease from A to Z. And those at home, Imelda, Othon, can y'all see my screen? I shared my PowerPoint. Is that coming through all right on y'all's end?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect.
I can see it.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get going. Just to get the introduction out the way, there's a little bit about myself. Name is Joe Chavarria, obviously. I've been a licensed agent since 2022. And like some of us, we get our license, kind of sit on it, don't do anything with it. That was me, sat on it, paid the fees, did all my dues, paid on there for like 2 years, no activity. But I knew I was going to do something with it. I just figured I need to get it just to get it out of the way and keep it active. And then life kind of hit me in the gut right around the end of 2024. I had a few businesses that weren't doing too well, and income is going down. Sole breadwinner of my family, wife, stay-home mom, and I want to keep her like that. Don't want her to work for anyone else but myself, or for the family. And so, right around September, I was like, I got to do something. I got to make it up. Got my license and went to town. And first thing I started off with was just leases. I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I just knew that it's probably a quicker turnaround time to getting paid because I need money, and maybe not as much work involved. Also, probably not as much risk, such as something happening with the lender, something happening with title, something happening with the seller, with the buyer. There's just a lot of variables. Like everything has to go perfect in a purchase transaction, whereas a lease, it's pretty straightforward. People need a roof over their head. It's not going to be, a lot there to it. So it should be pretty much, ironclad. But I got to do a lot of them, right? Because leases don't pay as much as a purchase, but, it's quick money. I got nothing but time. I'm going to get after it. So in about a 15-month period of time, I closed 80 leases because I was full-time going all at it. mostly on the tenant representation side. They're not on the landlord side. And to this date, I still haven't really done any listings, any lease listings. I'll probably pick up one or two towards the end of this year, but it's been mostly tenant representation side of things. And from the same lead source where I'm pulling all my leads, which is mostly Google. I pay about $2 and some change per lead from Google. But you can do free marketing on Facebook and get a ton of lease leads from it. And so, but from that same exact lead source and the way that I do things, the way I treat my business, my renter clients, 5 of them that out of the 80, and there's probably more to come, but out of the 80 that I closed initially, 5 of them turned into buyers in 2025. I did not have to advertise for them. I didn't even have to compete. I didn't have to like put on a whole dog and pony show to get their business. They knew me, they liked me, they trust me. I was probably the only agent that was willing to talk with them with all their issues and help them with their renter. So, I'm their guy, right? I'm their agent for life. I've had another buyer, another tenant that I got paid 0 commission on. I did a lot of work for this lady. It just so happens that the house that she really, really wanted that I got her approved for was paying 0 commission. Okay. A lot of agents will shy away from that. Not me. I'm just like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. I'm moving on to the next. That same lady referred me a coworker who put my name down on a new construction property that paid 5% commission. Okay. So that was 17 grand out of nowhere. Right. So that's the way that I treat leases. I treat them not just as a simple transaction where someone needs a roof over their head, but how do I impress the crap out of this client that they're going to refer everyone they know and they're going to turn into a buyer when that time comes, right? So I want you guys to look at renters not just from simple commission-based, quick transactions, which they are those, but look at it also from the perspective of how can these turn into buyers? Some of them even turn into listings, right? So it's just a matter of getting yourself out there. It's a great way to get more exposure because you can do a lot of them, get your name out there, get a lot of experience. That's the way you want you guys to look at leases. So I'm going to show you my process really from A to Z when it comes to a lease. First things first, let's get the money out of the way. Commission. What does the commission look like on a rental? Well, right now, the average rent, according to HAR, average rent for a 3-bedroom single family home is $2,100 a month. That's the average rent right now. So the average, or the most common rental commission on a residential property is 50% of first month's rent. So whenever a lease listing goes to the market, landlord would dedicate 100% of the first month's rent towards agent commission. So usually the listing broker or listing agent will divide that up 50% to the tenant side and 50% for the listing agent side. Okay, so that's how usually it's 50-50, right? Now, if you take a lease listing and you get the 100% commission allocated and you kind of do both sides of it, there you go. You can earn the whole 100% commission of whatever the first month's rent is. So just taking that 50% example there, that means the average GCI is $1,050 per deal. And then also just throwing this out there, according to HAR, average rent for a 2-bedroom apartment, because you can also do apartment locating once you get involved with this, average 2-bedroom apartment is $1,600 per month, which is very common, what most people are looking for. Apartments will pay anywhere between 50 and that number should change, but it's anywhere between 50 to 125% commission. I gave one to Marcus here recently. It was a client that was looking for a property. It was 4 people. 2 went one way, 2 went the other way. And I remember Marcus was the first one. He's like, "Hey, Joe, I got some bad news. They're going to get an apartment." I was like, "That's good news. Like, that's actually good. Here's a couple of them. Send them these listings. See what they like." They picked one, and I think what was it, $1,600 a month rent, 18, something like that, 17, somewhere right around there. And the commission is what, 125. 125. But I was like, hey, we make more money on this one. Like, it was less work, more money. So, hey, that's not a bad thing, right? So being an apartment locator on top of residential leases is kind of the way to go, because some people may not fit the mold of being a good tenant for a single family resident. Maybe the budget, they don't have it in the budget. Maybe they don't have that many people, whatever the case may be. You can flip them to an apartment and get paid the same, if not more money from it. So that means average GC off an apartment, somewhere right around there. Just went over that. And there's also some big box management companies that for leases, they pay a flat fee. So like First Key Homes is one of them. They pay a flat 300. Main Street Renewals is a flat 300. Progress Residential 250. And then Simply Home, I like using Simply Home a lot in Q4 of every year, the last quarter of every year. They pay anywhere between 50, also sometimes up to 125% commission for a residential lease. These companies here, they also will do the self-tour option. You don't have to go show these properties. You just kind of guide your client through the website, show them where they can book a self-tour. They upload their ID, book the showing, they go take a look at it. When they get there, they get the showing instructions, let themselves in. And so that's why they pay a lower commission, because you don't really have to go and show it. Simply Home also does a self-tour, but hey, they say, well, we still value agents. We appreciate agents. We're going to pay them anywhere between 50 to 100% of the commission. Big box management companies are great for those that have okay credit. And what I mean by okay is maybe somewhere between 550 and above, but they cannot have any unpaid rental collections, no broken leases, no evictions. Like, they got to be clean on the rental history. These companies use AI for their application process. So when they pull credit and they detect an unpaid rental collection, you cannot offer double deposit. You cannot give them a letter of explanation. You can't sell them. It's really AI making that decision for them, and their decision is final. So if they have an unpaid rental collection, these guys don't work. But listings that are offered by another agent that represents an individual landlord, those are going to be more human based, more of a human element, where they're not going to auto decline it due to like an unpaid rental collection. So let me pause there real quick. We'll take a couple pause breaks along the way. You guys in Google land, feel free to chime in if you have any questions. You guys hear any questions so far? Question that came in is, do I pay for Google leads? Yes. So yeah. I mean, you can advertise on Google. It's Google Ads. You can sign up for a free account. They'll give you, for like a first time user, they'll probably give you like, hey, spend $500 on Google Ads and we'll give you $500 in credit, right? So they have all those promotions they offer nowadays. So I kind of built those ads from scratch a long time ago. If I were to advise an agent coming in, hey, I want to run ads on Facebook, Meta, Google, what have you. I think that's for the other one. You can use Claude to like teach. You can tell Claude, hey, I want to run my ads on Google. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's my target blah, blah, blah. Like, tell Claude what you want. Say, build me the framework that I need to like build out my Google ad, right? Claude is a great way to kind of get that going. Tell it to do it and just copy and paste the instructions. And if you're not sure what it's telling you, say, can you dumb this down a little bit more for me so I can know how to do this, right? Questions on Google land. Do you guys have any questions on Google land? All right, cool. Going on. So why I like leases, especially if you're a full-time agent trying to supplement some income or, cover, everything you do need for your household expenses, it can provide a steady stream of income, minimum consistently $4 to $6 grand a month. There was a time I was doing 8 to 12 consistently just off of leases. That's what I needed to survive. It's also a great way for those that are just getting started in real estate. Again, like I mentioned earlier, get your business out there, get some traction, get some volume. It's a great way to get your business out there because they're everywhere. Everyone needs a roof over their head. Everyone's moving. There's tons of leases and lease opportunities out there. Most agents coming out the door are trained, go after the listings and do all that, which is great. Do that. But if you're a brand new agent, you don't know how to cold call, you don't know how to close people, you just suck on the phone, you don't have a great SOI, like, leases are going to come your way left and right, and they don't really require a whole lot of work. So to me, in my experience, for those that are just getting started in real estate, I think it's a great way to get your feet wet, get your confidence level up, get some traction, get some money in your bank account. And like I said, not too complicated. It's going to keep you busy. It's going to build confidence, and you can scoop up some buyers and some sellers in the process without having to advertise for them because they already like you, they already trust you, they really want to work with you. So here's what I do first when a brand new lead comes in. Okay, this is my thing for qualifying the lead. So let's say I run a post on Facebook. Hey, I help out with rentals. back write it okay, blah blah blah, whatever you want to put on there. Okay, and someone says, hey, I'm interested, and you know, okay, cool. What's a good phone number? Okay, I'm assuming I already got the number. Okay, and I'm having a conversation with them. First question I want to find out is how soon do you need to move? Okay, what is your realistic time frame of when you need to move? This is important because if today is Tuesday, July 28th, if they say, Joe, I need to move October 1 because my apartment just sent me notice that I need to let them know what my options are. It's a 60-day renewal option, right? And I need to be out by October 1. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. I get it why you're reaching out now and why you're motivated to do it now. But you don't really want to start onboarding and showing this person properties now because their moving date's not till October. Well, they realistically are not going to move until like end of September. Okay, we're just ending July, getting into August. So the reason why you don't want to do that, couple reasons. One, if they find a property that they do like right now and you submit an application with start date October 1, your application will be viewed, but it's going to be kind of on the back burner, right? The listing agent and the landlord specifically, they want someone moving in within a week or two. Okay, that they're looking for someone that is trying to occupy the property, start paying rent sooner than later. They don't want to wait until, they don't want to wait 60 days to start getting the rent collected. They want the rent collected ASAP. Another thing too, why I want to onboard a client right then and there is because a lot can change between now and like September. They may get cold feet and decide, let's just renew the lease. They may think, you know what, we've been in this apartment 3 years or whatever it is. We pay X amount in rent. I know we want to get into a house. Why don't we buy a house instead? Why do we need a rent? Joe said we're going to need this deposit, that deposit. Should we can put that down and just buy a house, right? There's a variety of reasons that are outside of your control that can occur between now and then that may get them to change their mind. If you onboarded that client now and started showing them houses now, like you're kind of wasting your time and wasting your money and wasting your gas. I like to bring it in. I like to start the process when they're about 2 to 3 weeks from their move date, because it doesn't really take a lot of time to get them approved for a rental. And again, on their application, showing that their move date is within like 2 weeks or less from the time we submit the application, that increases the chances of them getting approved for a rental. Keeping in mind that you're probably taking people on that have some issues, some credit issues, some rental issues. So the more good you can show on their application, the higher it's going to be that they're going to get approved in the first place. Second question I'm asking is, okay, and I'm having that discussion with them about time frame, right? Like everything I just went over, that's what I'm telling them. Oh, okay, makes sense. Great. Hey, and real quick, where are you looking to move to? Like what area are you looking to go to? So I want to find out where specifically, okay? Because if you're an agent where maybe you don't want to be all over town, okay, knowing where they want to go is important, because is this going to be a client you're going to take on and personally handle start to finish? Or do you maybe want to onboard this client and split the commission with another agent that's closer to that side of town? Say, hey, I onboarded the client. Let's work together. You do the showings and all the back end. And I'll make the introductions and do all of that. But let's tag team this and let's split the commission. So, we'll split up the time, split the commission. That way we can get this thing done. Right. So you need to find out where they want to go to. Every now and then you might have someone that says, I don't know where I want to go. I want to go here. I want to go there. I'm thinking here. Yeah, that's kind of rare, but it does happen. If you get someone that's indecisive of what location they want to go to, try to pin them down to a location. So, okay, well, I'm an agent that's not going to drive all over town, not for a rental at least. Let's kind of get specific here. And what I like to follow up with when they don't know what area they want to go to, okay, let's start off on the basics. Where's work? Okay, work is here. Okay, great. Where are kids' schools? Okay, so kids' school is not that important. They're a private school. Okay, cool. Family, church, where are they at? Once I start asking these questions and say, you know what, I don't want to go all over town. You know what, let's just go to this area. Okay, cool, perfect. Now I have them pinned down to a location just by getting them to think, where's school, where's work, where's family, where's church, whatever it may be that's important to them. Where are these places at? Let's try to find something close to that area. Sound fair? Sounds great. Perfect. What are you currently doing right now? Are you renting a house, an apartment, staying with family? What is your current living situation right now? I want to know that because if it's an apartment, okay, we have the whole 60-day thing. hey, so if you really are for sure you're wanting to move, you may want to let your apartment know that you don't intend to renew, so we can kind of put that in motion. If they're already in a rental house, I'm going to be kind of curious as to like what's going on. Like, why can't you stay there? Why can't you renew the lease? What's going on with that, right? Because you're going from rental house to rental house. Why? What's going on? Landlord wants to sell. We're being evicted. That could be a possibility. It could be a variety of different things. I want to know why, so I kind of know what I'm up against. I'm staying with family. All right, that to me, that's like 8 times out of 10 they got a broken lease or eviction somewhere, and that's why they're staying with family. Or maybe their income change where they're not fully back on their feet, but they're getting back on their feet, and that's why they're staying with family. These are things that I like to know before I take on this client as a rental client, just so I know, is this going to be a rental? Could this be a purchase possibly? Right. So just finding out what they're currently doing right now is very important. What's motivating you to move, that kind of thing. Budget. What is the most that you're willing to pay per month for rent? Okay. So if I get a number and they're telling me I want this house, I want this, I want that, I want it to be in this location, and I know there's nothing in that price point, right? There's nothing under 1,800 or nothing under 2,000, but their budget is 16. And I know this. My question now, when I find out their budget, I'll let them know pretty much everything you where you're looking for, what you mentioned. There's nothing there in that budget. Are you willing to come up on that budget, or are you okay with an apartment? Well, I can come up with the budget if I have to. Okay, how much more? Okay, cool. Well, that way we can look at houses. That way we can stick on that track. But again, if that's outside the budget, are you cool with an apartment? Well, yeah, I would prefer an apartment if I could, but I got this broken lease or I got this thing. I can get approved. No problem. As an apartment locator, which one things I'll show you towards the end, if I don't remind me how to become an apartment locator, with the apartment locating software, you can sort apartments that are broken lease friendly, eviction friendly, criminal background friendly, right? You can put those filters on there and get it narrowed down to the complexes that will accommodate that client, right? So if the objection is, the reason why they don't want to go in an apartment is because of whatever issue in the past, no worries. I got you covered. I'm a locator as well. Follow-up question is, want to find out their income. What do you do for work? How long you been doing that? How much do you bring in per check, right? These are the questions I'm asking in the very beginning to find out a little bit more about my client. I do this even if it's a buyer, a potential buyer. These are the things I need to know. So when I'm qualifying the lead, the way I'm qualifying for renter and buyer, because I need to know, whatever direction we go, I need to know this stuff. Is there a co-applicant? Anyone else over the age of 18 that's moving in besides you? Okay, very important for both reasons, buyer or renter. If it's a renter, everyone over the age of 18 is subject to background and credit check. They're still going to be subject to that. Also, if there is someone over 18 and they have something in the criminal background, I need to know that up front. I need to know how to navigate that. If the income that they just gave me is like, it's like so-so income, it's okay. Like it might pass. Yeah, and also I have my son, he's 20 years old. Okay, does he work? Yeah, but he only works part-time. Well, how much is that? No, about 500 a month. Well, shoot, yeah, we can use that 500. Like that'll help. Like that kind of will help get these approvals pushed through. Oh, okay. I didn't think anything of it. Well, yeah, he's gonna move in with you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, we need that income. We need him on there. Also, it kind of applies on the buyer side, right? So if someone's trying to buy a house and we need a little bit more income, obviously you need to know, besides the point of everyone over the age of 18 is subject to a background and credit check for a rental, it helps with the income part, whether they're trying to rent or they're trying to buy. And same question, what do they do for work? How much they bring in, yada, yada. Credit. Notice that when we're talking about a rental, notice I'm not even asking credit. I assume their credit's bad. I already know their credit's bad. I'm not going to make that one of the first questions I ask. Credit's going to kind of come towards the end. So I do want to find out, what were your credit scores last time you checked? What about that second person that you mentioned? And your rental history. Any broken leases or evictions in the last 7 years? Any pets? How many? What kind? That kind of thing. So these are all the things. And by the way, if you guys want my script for this, I do have a questionnaire script for this. If you guys want that, my contact information will be at the very end. Shoot me an email. And just mention the email because I'm gonna fire off a couple freebies in there. Just say, Joe, I want XYZ, whatever it is. So right now I do have a script. I do have a template for all these questions in my Google Drive. I can share it with you just at the very end when you see my email. Take note of that and shoot me an email when we're done and letting me know what you need, and I'll send that over. Step 2. Real quick, guys. I'm going to step 2. Google Land. Any questions so far?
I had a question, Joe.
What you got, Othon?
So I had a while back, I had a tenant that was interested in the property, and he filled out the application in July, but was wanting to move in September. He really, really liked the property, and I was like, man, I don't think the landlord is going to be down to hold the property for like a month, you know? And so I was like, trying to think of ways. I was like, what if like
You can't hear him, right? Okay, it's on my
yeah, hear
headset.
me?
Go ahead. You know, they can't hear you, but I can hear you. His question so far is he has a tenant, fell in love with the property, submitted an app, move-in date was September 1, right, Othon?
Yes.
September 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the property and the landlord was like, well, I don't think he's going to be able to hold it. So the listing agent suggested, what if like, you know, he puts in another month's rent to hold the property or another deposit to hold the property, and he didn't want to, so we just proceeded with looking at other properties, and eventually he found one he liked, which he was able to move into. But in that scenario, would that be a good a suggestion for the tenant?
Yeah, so Othon's question, the landlord offered, I'm going to turn it up here real quick. Othon,
Yeah, I can hear you.
y'all can hear him there? No? Okay. So what Othon was saying is, so he basically he took a client out, fell in love with the property. September 1 move in. Landlord said, why don't they pay an extra rent early to secure the property? And client said no. Right, Othon didn't want to do that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't want to do that.
Didn't want to do that. And then you went ahead and just kind of went back on the market, right?
Yeah, I went back on the market and found another one, and then he liked this other property, and we closed the lease on this one. But if I were to run into another scenario like that, what would be the appropriate steps to take in that scenario?
Yeah, so that's great. So you're kind of in the tail end of the busy season right now. I definitely don't onboard or show clients during May, June, July, like unless they're like within 2 weeks of their move date, just because it is the busiest time for leases. Now we're kind of at the tail end. I think landlords know, like, well, you know, it is what it is, right? Not people kind of pause, getting ready for school, that kind of thing. So I think that's great, Othon, that you actually found a property for your client that the landlord is willing to wait. But going forward, guys, I would just say, you know, if you do it the way that I'm going to show you how to do it, 2 to 3 weeks from their move date is fine. That's really all you need. Your clients might get a little anxious, and that's an objection you just have to overcome. Why are you worried? Like, why do you need to start looking right now? Oh, well, I just, you know, I don't want to run the risk of not having anything. So that's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like, you know, I get it's a valid concern, but keep in mind the flip side of it, and Othon kind of proved it there. Flip side of it is we submit an app with the move-in date so far, your application could get declined or not be seriously looked at because of that reason. So we can go look and do this and that, but you know, we might be kind of spinning our wheels right now. May want to wait, you know, a little bit closer to that time, so we don't, you know, burn gas, burn time, burn money, do all that kind of stuff. Does that help you out, Othon? Does that kind of touch on what you're mentioning there?
Yes, that's actually a good suggestion. Instead of just, you know, looking for properties as soon as the lead comes in and it's moving dates like a month or two out. Yeah. I think I'd rather just be like, let's hold on for a minute, and as we get closer to moving date, maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks out, we can start digging and start looking for some properties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to cover step 2, like expectations and next steps. This is kind of going to tie into that move-in date, what to expect, you know, so on and so forth. So if someone has low credit or bad rental history, it's highly likely that the landlord may require more deposit. So, you know, that could be anywhere between, you know, 1.5 to 2 times what the rent amount is as a security deposit. And you know, and as their agent, as a realtor, you can negotiate this out. You can say, okay, cool. If that's what it is, the client really likes the property. Why don't we break deposit up into like 2 or 3 payments, right? We do a single deposit now, and then the other deposit in a week or two, and then we'll pay first month's rent, you know, a week or two from there. Sometimes you can break it up even after they moved in. I don't recommend it, but you could do it. Some of them will be willing to do that. Me personally, I like to have all the deposit and all that kind of taken care of before the rent is paid, just because I don't want there to be an issue later on. Like my tenant didn't pay the remainder of the deposit after they move in, and then they kind of roped me back into the deal. I already got paid. I already got roped into it. I don't want to be like bad cop, good cop scenario. I don't want to be landlord either. It's not my property. I'm not the landlord on this one. And for other wide variety of reasons why I don't want to be roped into that. So I'd rather just get all the deposit paid up, you know, before the rent is. Now, lately, Marcus and Glorious is on the call too. We got people that, man, they should be paying like triple deposit, quadruple deposit, and we be getting them in on single deposits. Gloria, tell us a little bit about Lakeisha, right? Lakeisha is one that that's your success story there. I remember you being super excited about that one. What was the
Yeah.
deal with her?
So the deal was she had all these broken leases from apartment complexes going wrong, or that's what she told us, like with Hurricane Beryl, with flooding on the inside. So a lot of stuff, I'm pretty sure it was just, you know, not due to proper communication. But anyway, it was broken leases. And then she had 4 of those. She just would keep moving apartments to have somewhere to stay. And then her son was 19 or 20. We had a rent spree, but he hadn't had anything that happened on there. And then when we got to the property that they're in now, the agent wanted to run the rent spree because of her file. We found out he had an eviction, which meant they had most likely tried under his name at one point, is what I assume, which you're not supposed to do. But the agent was fine with, or the landlord was fine. Actually found out the agent was the landlord, but found out he was okay with everything. He just asked me to ask them to please stay there. But they actually got in with no extra deposit. It was a regular move-in, deposit and first month's rent. So it's
Yeah,
really on
good
how
stuff.
you present it.
Yeah, it's all about presentation, which I'm going to show you guys how to present it. Present it this way. This is going to really help reduce the need for additional deposit for your client, right? It's all about how you present that. And so one of the questions I'm asking though, when I'm going over the expectation, this is on that initial call. When I know they have credit issues, I know they're going to have these issues. Even though I'm confident in my ability to get them approved at a single deposit level, or Marcus's or Glorious's ability to get them approved on a single deposit level, I do want to set that expectation that there's a double deposit. That's a possibility, right? So that way, if all they're getting are double deposit offers, you know, they're prepared for it, or they're not going to be upset. Well, you didn't tell me that, and blah, blah, blah. Right. I want to set that expectation from the get go, and I'll run a scenario. All right, cool. You know, your budget's $2,000 a month. You need 3 to 4 bedroom property in Cypress area, whatever it may be. And so therefore, you know, your credit's low, you got the rental issue. I'm going to work with you to get you approved. However, any approval we get, it's a high probability they're going to want more deposit. What I mean by that, it could be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 times rent. So that could be anywhere between $3 to $4 grand deposit, plus you need $2,000 for the first month's rent to get the keys and begin moving in. So between now and your moving date, we're somewhere between, you know, 4,000 on the low end, 6,000 on the high end to get everything going, right? Based on your time frame, you told me August 15th. Is that still a good moving date for you? Does that still work with you? Well, now I think about it. I didn't think about it like that. Okay, let's do end of August. Okay, cool. Perfect. That just means that I'm going to pick this ball up with you mid-August instead of right now, right? But I set that expectation. I can send them like my rep agreement. We can do all of that now, but I'm not showing houses. We're not doing anything until we get to like mid-August as we get closer to that. That's another reason why I want to set up that expectation and go over the money part, because they need to be prepared for it. Because the last thing you want to do is put them in the bind. They're signing the lease, or they're excited and they ain't got the money, right? It's just like, what are we doing? So why do we do all of that? So you want to set a good expectation with your client from the get-go. Timeline, we talked about that as far as the expectation goes. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to get into onboarding. This goes into like the presentation and how we present the client, like Glorious was talking about. So this is what you need to onboard your new rental client. For sure, your rep agreement, your buyer/tenant representation agreement. You are going to need their pay stubs, bank statements, and an ID. You are going to need the Texas Association of Realtors rental application, also known as the TREC rental application. Have you guys seen that before? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, you're going to need that. I recommend doing Rent Spree or Smart Move. We have access to Rent Spree as agents through our HAR membership. I recommend doing the Rent Spree on your end, right? Have the client pay for it and do the Rent Spree as a screening service as on your end. So that way you have the report and you can see exactly what future landlords were to see if they were to run their own Rent Spree. This is going to be everything I just went over. That's going to be needed for everyone over the age of 18. The cool thing about Rent Spree now is Rent Spree can collect pay stubs, bank statements, IDs, and collect all of that for you. They have an income verification portal where the client like connects their bank account and they can verify the deposits match up with their checks. Like it does a whole income verification for you. It could also do your rental application. You can set it up to where it also does the rental application for you. So Rent Spree has, a lot of things you would probably collect individually. You can just send them your Rent Spree link and just get all that yourself. You do have to put a property address in there in order for Rent Spree to generate the unique link for everything. You can make up an address. You could just pick an address that the client is interested in. Just put some address in there to generate it and make sure you're listed as the tenant agent, not the landlord. You're the tenant agent. And then you can send that all off. They do everything online through Rent Spree. It'll collect the pay stubs. It'll collect all of that. It can do everything for you. And you can set up the option in Rent Spree. Do you pay the fee or does your client pay the fee directly, right? Think about what I just said there, because if you were ever in the landlord representation side of things, you can collect the fee. And that's where you pay an application fee, $50 application fee, $100 application fee, whatever you want to, charge the renter, and turn in 39 a Rent Spree, pocket the rest for time and admin work or whatever, right? So just make sure that, you know what side of the transaction you are on, but you can have them do the Rent Spree report on their end and get all this stuff uploaded. So that way people don't have to like manually email you check stubs and manually send the IDs and do this and that. It's a little bit more work and you really don't have to do it. Yep. Rentspree.com or go to your thing. Uh-huh. If we have time, I'll show you my Rent Spree account and how to do that. The question at Google Land that Jackie was asking is if I could show how to do like get the docs collected, right? How do we do that through Rent Spree? If we have time, I can share my screen and show you how to do it. This is part of the onboarding process. Once we get all these documents in, everything goes into one PDF. Okay. One other thing that I do, which any of you guys can learn this, when I get someone's Rent Spree report, I'm looking at their credit history there. I'm looking for the eviction records. I'm looking for any unpaid rental collections, any recent late payments on the vehicle, because those are the things that are probably going to get brought up when they are moving forward on a legitimate application. So if I see any of that stuff, I'm having a one-on-one conversation with my client. I'll usually just shoot them an email. Hey, can you reply back in like 3 to 5 sentences? Tell me about this account, or you have this eviction on your record. Tell me about that. Give me your side of the story, right? I don't mean to judge you or anything like that. Just tell me what happened. What was your side of the story? Like Glorious was talking about that one client. She had, the flooding and this and that, and the apartment complex, they didn't want to fix anything, and she just had no choice but to move because there's mold. Like, what is your side of the story? I'll grab their side of the story, throw it into Claude and say, Claude, make me a letter of explanation for my renter client. I have a Claude bot specifically just for letters of explanation. Just grab that, make me a letter of explanation professional, makes a nice 1-page letter PDF. Boom, I got it. I'm going to add that into the whole rental packet that I have. Okay. Because when you submit an application, they're going to ask you, you know, your client has this. I know. Well, what happened? Go to page 63 on the application I sent you. It explains it. Oh, okay, okay. Anytime you can have one up on the other agent, you have the leverage. When it's like, oh, I don't know, you know, let me find out. Like you're kind of scrambling, you look very weak. So when you are the one that is like on top of it, and you got your stuff together, and the other agent's going to look a little weak because they didn't read your email or they didn't read the documents, even though you tell them specifically where certain things are. Now you have a little bit more leverage, and now you come off as Jackie's got her ish together. I like her. That client that's got a 540 credit score and an unpaid rent and all this stuff, like, I like Jackie. Like, I like how she does business. She's a strong agent. And this client over here with all this other stuff going on, you just made that client look a lot better with all their issues. That's how we're seeing people get approved, single deposit. You know, they're kind of chasing us. They're chasing us for a 550 client with unpaid rental collections. They're chasing us. Hey, is your client still interested? Hey, still interested? Right? Because most agents, when they submit a rental app, it's in pieces, right? Hey, or they're involving the listing agent to do some work, right? How do we apply and send over the application, and what is the land like? Asking all these questions. Where I present a rental client almost as if I'm making an offer to buy the house, right? Here's your offer. First, you know, move-in date, blah blah blah. Rent deposit to this, pet deposit to this. Like, I'm setting the terms. Here are the terms. Attaches the file. Page 1 is this, blah blah blah. Let us know. Let it balls in your court. Let us know if the landlord wants to approve or not. Right. So that is also leads to more clients getting approved. It's in the presentation, how we present our client in that light. And Gloria, she just hopped off, but she'll tell. She has stories where our clients won they got approved even though there's better candidates, but we won because how we presented it, right? Because we did all the work. Once I have the client onboarded, then we're doing the property portal. Okay, the property portal is like basically your HAR, your MLS account. Set them up with send them the listings. So in the MLS, when you're sending someone listings for rentals, there's an option there where you can select management company, yes or no. If they have an unpaid rental collection or a broken lease or eviction, you do want to select no. Like, you only want to show properties that are ran by another agent that maybe just represents, this is like maybe one landlord, or maybe it's a landlord that has like one property, maybe two. They don't have the money to pay a sophisticated property management company. So the application process is going to be a little bit more of a human element to it. So if someone has those issues, I'll show you here in a bit is how to set that up. But send them the listings. Tell them to favorite a couple of them. What I do is I tell them, what we tell them is when we send them the listings and say go in there, favorite like 6 to 10 properties that you like from the pictures and what you see there. And Marcus or Gloria's, they'll get in there. They'll start kind of going through their HAR account. Okay, which ones they favorited? Okay. And those are the ones that they'll reach out to the listing agent first and verify, is property still available? How much is the commission? Here's the client's application. Let us know yay or nay on this one. So we do that from the properties that they favorite in the portal versus them texting us listings. I mean, they still do that sometimes, but we want to try to avoid so much work, right? We don't like clients really getting on Zillow. Hey, what about this one? And hey, what about this? Shut that ish down. Like, no, it's what is here, what I'm sending you. Don't give me more work, right? Like, and I don't want you going to Zillow or going to these other places because, again, I set the criteria for a certain reason. You're going to go find this other property outside of what I'm sending you. And it's probably a property management company, which I said no, because they're going to decline you. So stick to what I'm sending you, because what I'm sending you is going to be what we're going to get approved for. Then we get into step 5, which is canvassing. Probably got like 1 or 2 more steps left and then we're done. Canvassing is where, like I just said, you're reaching out to the listing agent first. You're going to reach out to the listing agent by text or email or both. You're verifying if property is still available, because maybe it's listed, but they forgot to mark it as closed or pending or whatever it may be. So you're verifying if it's still available. You're going to verify what the commission percentage is. It's usually 50%, but you do want to have that in writing before you get too far into it. And then also provide the listing agent with a brief overview of your client's situation, which I'll show you what that looks like here in a bit. who they are, what they do, blah, blah, blah. Right. I'll show you that in a little bit. All right. And then showings. Okay. I like to show, or I like us to show, really no more than like 2 to 4 properties. So 2 to 4 properties that from the portal, they favorited. We already reached out to the agent, verified it's available. They said, hey, based on this application, landlord will be good with it. So it has to pass that test. It has to get that far into it before we go and show. And the reason is because, we just don't want to show a property that the client doesn't really have any chance of getting approved for. Big reason why we want to do that. And get client feedback as you go. First house that you're at, okay, scale of 1 to 10, can't pick 7 because that's a safe number. Scale of 1 to 10, where do you put this property? Put it at an 8. Okay, well, we'll make it a 10. What do you think it's missing to make it a 10? Okay, get some real feedback, document it. Marcus is really great at that. Takes a lot of notes when he's at the property, and just really document that feedback. When you get to the second house, all right, cool. This one or the other one? Which one's number 1? This one. Okay, cool. Third house. Now, which one is 1, 2, and 3? This one, that one, that one. Okay, perfect. Because when you're done with your showing, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to have to go back out there all over again and show more houses. It's a lease. It's not a buyer. Okay, so have them rank them 1, 2, and 3 or 4. That's all right. Cool. When I get back to my desk, I'll let the agent know we're going forward with number 1. I'm also going to let agent number 2, we're going forward with number 2 because we want to see who's going to get us the lease first, right? Because what if one already got another application the midnight hour, right? And we're just all our eggs in that basket. We need to kind of put 2 in motion. You may not have to really do this during the winter months or the fall months, but in the summer months, you got to do it because apps are coming in left and right. Give me 2. We're putting both of them in motion. Whichever one we lock in first, that's the one you're moving in with. Because you also want to like bring your client down to earth a little bit. If they're not falling in love with certain properties, bring them down to earth a little bit and remind them you're not marrying this house. You're dating it. This is temporary, right? You ultimately want to buy, right? Yeah. Okay. We're going to rent this thing for a year or 2. If the landlord wants to sell it, cool, we'll hit them up and we'll get the 3% commission worked out. We'll get all that figured out. If they don't want to sell it, no problem. Let's work on your credit, save money for down payment, yada, yada. And let's go and buy something else. Okay. All right. You're right. Yeah. I was being a little picky. I shouldn't be like that. Yeah. This is just try to get better than your situation you're at before, get you into a better situation, but keep in mind, this is not going to be permanent. Okay. So get the feedback, have them rank it, submit the app based on that. Now your clients approve. Okay, we're at the approval stage. So listing agent is the one to prepare the lease. Okay, if you have a listing agent say, hey, can you go ahead and prepare the lease for my client? No, right? That's their job. Now they can send it over to you for review, and then you can upload it into .loop, or they can do it in .loop. Doesn't really matter. But the lease has to be prepared by the other side. Review the lease with your client. That's I like doing that. I haven't done it in a while, but I did like doing that. We'll go over how, when is rent due and, any kind of rules that are in there, deposit, how to pay it, who's the landlord, here's their contact information, that kind of stuff. That's a good idea to review the lease with your client before they sign it. Once they're good to go, sign the lease, get it over to the other side, get it executed. The deposit's going to be due within 24 to 48 hours. So whatever that deposit is, whatever y'all agreed upon, that needs to be paid. Usually it's like via Zelle to the landlord. That's going to be paid. That's going to be due within 24 to 48 hours. Make sure that the listing agent, along with the lease, there's other things that need to get signed, such as the animal addendum if they have pets. Make sure that is signed. Bed bug addendum, unless it's a brand new house. If it's just a resale, bed bug addendum is going to be required. Lead-based paint addendum, if it's built before, what is it, 68? I forget what it is, or 78. Lead-based paint addendum. See, guys, you don't have to be a genius in real estate. You can be dumb as me and still make a good amount of money. And flood disclosure, right? So those are the other required addenda that's going to be needed with that lease. Get that up front. Get that right then and there. Just know that when that lease is coming in, that the listing agent gets all of that. Don't think that the other side is a listing agent that is seasoned and does all this all the time. I treat everyone as this is their first day as well. Okay. And it could just be oh, I'm an agent part-time and this is my father-in-law's house and I just listed it for rent. Right. But I have no clue how to do it. Right. I just put it on the market and here we are. Don't make the listing agent make you do that. Not for free, at least, right? That's what I was. I'll do it. But, it's going to cost you. Oh, okay, no, I'll figure it out. Yeah, go to your broker. You figure it out. But I recommend doing that in the beginning once you get that lease, because you don't want to get to the point where you think everything is good. You submit everything into what are we using these days? SkySlope. Submit everything in SkySlope, and the lease commission check comes in. Natalie says, "Hey, your commission check's here," and then Lori says, "Oh, all this stuff's missing. That your check's on hold until all this stuff gets turned in," and it's already been like 3 weeks later. Let me call my client. Hey, remember me from 3 weeks ago? And let me try to just handle it right then and there while it's like fresh and you're getting all these documents signed. So keep in mind of what is required to complete a lease transaction, which typically is those. Go ahead, Jackie. Still their job. Your job is just to make sure you got it, so you get paid, right? So Jackie's question was, you guys heard of it there, is just whose job is it for the addendum? All the lease documents, that's listing agent's job. If they ever try to get you to do it, no, but for a fee, I'll do it. And that gets them to get off your case, right? And then send the listing agent the agreement between brokers and the W-9 and the invoice. Once all of that is sealed and dealed, final steps is the agreement between brokers or the ABB, W-9, and send them the invoice. And then submit everything to SkySlope and wait for the check to get in. I recommend once you get all the docs in, don't wait until the commission check to come in to then do all of this stuff. Just do it right then and there, get it over with, move on. Okay. All right. So as promised, there is my contact info, phone number, and my email address for the goodies. Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing because I need to open up my other screen because Jackie wanted to see rent spree. And there was one other thing. Oh, apartment data, apartment locating. Othan and Imelda, I'll open it up for some questions here in a little bit. I just want to show rent spree. All right, sharing my screen. Okay, so here is rent spree. Like I said, just plug in an address. So here is, if you can set it up to where you can have it. Let's see if I can minimize this, move this out the way. You can set it to where, do you want full application? Do you just want the credit report plus background eviction? Do you also want income verification? See how this says pro? So as a HAR member, you do get access to rent spree, but it's the free version. Okay. Free version means you don't get the income verification, you don't get the reference checks, which you don't really need, and you don't get the document upload portion. You do got to upgrade. I think it's like $20 a month. I'm on the pro version. You also don't get the TAR rental application unless you're on the pro version. So on the free version, you at least get the rent spree type of application that they'll submit, and then the background and the eviction records, which I ran that way for a while. It's fine. You can do it that way. It's fine. I'm now on the pro version just because I still do a lot of leases and I just want fewer steps on the onboarding process. So I went ahead and just paid to upgrade and get the other stuff. So if I wanted to get documents, when you set up your rent spree under the pro version, you can set the setting to where do you want, what do you want? Right. And then I just said, well, I want the income verification and I want the spot to upload the docs. So here's where you can upload, they're like, this person uploaded the pay stubs, ID is in there. And so when I download the report, it'll automatically populate in the whole PDF document, their pay stubs and IDs and all that stuff. Everything's in one shot. Yes, ma'am. Questions on Google Land about rent spree? If not, I'm going to move on to the apartment thing, and then we'll finalize it with some questions.
I had a question on the rent spree. So on the free version, minus the income verification, is everything else okay to present to a listing agent, or you would absolutely need the income verification on the pro version?
You don't. This is actually a really cool thing, though. Some people have the option. You can do income verification, like this one. He didn't do it, but he uploaded the docs, right? So you do want to, when you're presenting your client to the other side, you do want the pay stubs, right? You want that's what these are, pay stubs and the ID. So if you're on the free version, obviously Rent is not going to collect it. You're going to have to collect it yourself manually and include it. If you're on the paid version, Rent can collect it for you. So you still want to get it because you're going to need it. So if you do it, let's see, if you collect stuff manually, I do recommend setting up an account with smallpdf.com. That's what I'm on right now, because you can merge documents into PDF. You can compress the file size down to a smaller file, so that way, because when you get all your documents put together, it could be like a 10 megabit file packet, which might take some delay on getting sent or might go to spam. You can compress the file size down to a smaller size. So I use small PDF quite a bit for merging documents. If I was back in the day when I was collecting everything manually, I would just merge them all into one PDF and then compress the file size down so it'll hit the inbox. This is smallpdf.com. This is just like a tool where you can go and merge PDF documents together and compress the file sizes, right? So if you're like, all those documents I'm talking about requesting, in my experience, you could probably do separate PDFs to the realtor. I like to put everything in one shot, right? So there's like no way, I didn't see it, to avoid all of that. Also because this is my template when I was saying earlier about when I present the file to the other agent, this is what it looks like. Oop, that's not it. So this is what, whenever I send an email to the listing agent after they told me, yes, property is available, commission's 50%, we'll follow up with this email template. We'll just kind of change. Oh, wait, you can't see it, huh? Let's unshare, present something else. Boom, boom. Okay. So this is like, we just copy and paste that, but we'll just change like the start date, the amount. We kind of change that based on property. So whatever the property is, whatever the rent is for that property, I'll take that out if they don't have a pet. I throw in there, additional deposit if the landlord perceives higher risk, option to renew annually, right of first refusal should the landlord wish to sell later. Because I do want that. Yeah, I want that 50% commission. But if there's a little bit more on the backside, I want to take one client and instead of just making one commission, I want to make 5 to 10 levels of commission per client. Right. So if there's a commission for the renewal, I want to get that. Because again, the landlord doesn't have this client if it wasn't for me in the first place. Right. So I want a piece of the pie on the renewal. And if the landlord decides to sell it, hey, client wants to buy it, I want the 3% when we get to that point as well. So that's like the first part of the email. And then I'll go ahead and like break down, hey, in the attachment, page 1, and I'll give it a table of contents, right? Page 1 is their rent spree report. Page 14 is that. Page that, blah, 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 blah. I'll put in there how much is the income, okay? If I created a letter of explanation, it'll be in there as well. And I'm happy to share this with you guys, as well. And so what I would recommend that you do is do something like that and maybe just include a little blurb in there about who your client is. But again, because if you send it, the number one thing that an agent's going to have on the other side, why is their credit bad? Why is this? Why is the broken lease there? Those are kind of the common things you're going to get. A letter of explanation covers all of that, right? So why is credit bad? Well, if you read my email, page 25 says letter of explanation on why credit's bad. There you go. Answered your question. Again, all about having that one up on the other agent. It's all about leverage. In the game of real estate, it's all about leverage. Whoever has the leverage is going to win. So it's all about gaining leverage early for the client. Final thing, apartment MRI apartment data. So MRI apartment data, this is going to run you like $70 to get set up, not monthly, not annually, just one time. MRI apartment data. And you come in here and let me pick on someone. We never heard back from Markany Coleman, right? You never heard back from her? Okay. So Like this is an example of, and an apartment data has training, but let me just kind of show you real quick what it looks like. So it'll give you like apartments and, you set the criteria to kind of have it drilled down here. It tells you how much is the commission. It gives you details about property. That one's 50% commission. This one is 100% commission. This one over here is 100%. This one is 50%, but they got to sign a 13-month lease, right? So if you're going to get going with some leases, highly recommend you set up an MRI apartment data account, $70, one-time investment, and you got access. Might as well have it because it's going to come up, right? It's going to be necessary. And you can advertise. I'm also an apartment locator as well. See right there, it says email complete list or email prospect list. So if I wanted to send my prospect like everything, like all those details you see there, I could, or I can just email like a prospect version of it. That way, if they like something, they have to go through me. I do recommend that because what you don't want to do is you send some properties, and they find the address. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks a lot. You're the greatest. Did you put my name down? Oh, I was supposed to? All right, let me try to get paid. Hey, Braze Oaks, I sent my client. Well, she didn't put your name down. But I sent her. I don't know. What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just kind of, they give you like some generic. I don't know if it gives the property address either. I think it might, but it doesn't give like full details of it. All right, you got it. It is 2:59. I'm going to unshare my screen. Let me go back to my contact info. Yeah, hold on. Go ahead, Jackie.
When they like a property, you call to the property manager and say, hey, this is my client.
For apartment? Yep. Yeah. So you call apartment complex, verify availability, maybe get a couple things figured out as well. Maybe they say, hey, we're second chance friendly. We work with broken leases. Hey, I got a client's got a broken lease. It's 4 years old, blah, blah, blah. Tell them what happened. Your website says, yeah, you'll work with them. Just want to confirm we're good. So yeah, but we just need management approval. But based on what you tell them, you should be fine. Okay, cool. Also, it says you pay 100% commission. Just want to make sure that's still the case. We do. Your client just has to put your name down on the application as the locator. Okay, cool. Perfect. And then go to your client. Say, hey, this one will take you. This one will work with you. When do you want to go look at it? I'll go this day. Okay, perfect. Go to the apartment's website. Use the contact form, whatever. Just kind of fill it out on behalf of the client. This is what I do. I fill it on behalf of the client, and I'll put on there. My apartment locator is Joe Chavarria. He's the one that referred me to this property. I would not know about it if it wasn't for him, right? So I'll kind of put that in there just in case the client forgets to put my name down as the apartment locator on the application. I have that as a backup that they submitted that. So I do that, and then just tell them, when the client's going to get there, they go look at it, and that's about it on the apartments. You don't have to go with them unless you want to. You don't have to. I know some agents that would go with them, but they would get some good content, and they get to meet the leasing agent and shake some hands and, maybe work out a referral thing. Hey, you get anyone that can't get approved, send them to me. Or you got anyone that's looking for a house or whatever, send them to me, right? It's like a little networking opportunity you can go and do. Google Land, any questions from Google Land?
I was just about to email you right now, but yeah, can you I'm gonna email you. You could reply with if you could reply with that presentation, and I can just kind of just reference it for for the future.
Yeah. So what I can share with you guys is the script where I went earlier. I was talking about how to qualify the lead. That soft offer email template, whatever. Share that with you. I think those are like the top two things I probably would need the most. If there's something else that you want, just shoot me an email and see if I got it. Thanks, Othon. Any questions here in person? All good? Perfect. Good stuff. Well, thanks, guys, so much. Thank you, guys, in Google Land. You guys have a great rest of your day and go get them. Bye, guys.
Thank you.